Chapter 571. At the end of the day, she still had the habit of being a gangster in her bones, and this habit had become stronger and stronger because she had been going against Min Hongxing. Many times, she even deliberately deepened this bad habit. When she entered family Min's door, Min Zikai had followed Lan Chuyue and called her a little bastard. Therefore, she had also been calling Min Zikai a little bastard and a wastrel. As long as Min Zikai had a flaw, she would say it in front of many people. She would say it as vicious as she could and never care about Min Zikai's feelings. Lan Chuyue called her a little slut born of a vixen, and she called Lan Chuyue a toad. In her next life, she would still be a toad full of bumps. She refused to be taken advantage of, and even suffered a lot for this, but she still persisted. She was not like Yi Er, who knew how to give in and swallow her anger in order to survive. She just rushed forward. If you don't want me to have a good life, I will not let you have a good life. She had the rebellious and willful attitude of a 17-year-old girl. However, her habit of being a gangster was even more so. If someone treated her well, she would remember that Yi Er had comforted her, enlightened her, and even kicked Min Zikai's butt when Min Zikai was scolding her. She was like a chivalrous woman upholding justice and then drove her to eat dessert. At that time, Yi Er was 17, and she was only 15. In fact, she had always cared about others calling her a little bastard, but Yi Er did not mind. She knew that after this collision, the airbag would definitely open, and some of the drivers would almost suffocate because the airbag did not open immediately. Although this kind of situation was rare, she felt that her luck was not that bad. The car was rushing over so fast, but she felt that it was such a slow process. She was even afraid that the other party would speed up to avoid it, and she would rush to the inner cliff. She stared at the door of the driver's seat and did not dare to blink for a moment. She turned the steering wheel to the left, and after rushing out, she quickly braked and made a hard right turn. She aimed at the door of the Honda's driver's seat and directly hit it. The expected bang of the collision did not appear. The Honda understood Ching Su's intention and stepped on the accelerator, narrowly avoiding this fatal collision. Men's driving skills were always better than women's. There were very few exceptions. Among the girls, there were very few bold and unrestrained driving types like Yi Er and Ching Su. Moreover, Ching Su was very worried that she would accidentally hit the back seat. The Honda did not even hesitate. The car was the driver's seat. It was the car's driver's seat. Ching Su's car's driver's seat. The car driver's driver's driver. The car. The ear-piercing screeching sound almost made Yi's heart jump out of her chest. She used almost all her strength to prop her leg against the partition of the back seat to prevent herself from being thrown out. Whenever the car was hit or the steering wheel was swerved, her head would hit the back of the seat or the door behind her. She felt that she could not hold on any longer. Both cars had their headlights turned on to disrupt each other's vision. Ching Su's palms were wet and slippery. She felt slippery on the steering wheel. She knew that the other car was trying to locate her at the fastest speed possible. They wanted to get rid of her. They wanted to get rid of this scourge. Today, they were going to the shallow beach. His mother liked to eat some pastries. In the past, she lived a hard life without money. Those mung bean cakes and black sesame cakes that cost only a few dollars each were considered delicacies in the world by her mother. She rarely bought them. If she had lived a few more years, she probably wouldn't find those dry things tasty. The pastries were placed on the dashboard. Ching Su looked at them. "Mom, I'll buy more for you tomorrow." She reached out a hand and took out the most famous black sesame cake in High City from the paper bag. She quickly opened a few pieces and gently pinched them into tiny pieces. She quickly picked out some granules and put them in her hand. She passed on the ones that were crushed into powder. She did not turn the car around. She could not see the man clearly. She rolled down the car window and turned her head to let him see the contempt in her eyes. At this moment, she stealthily turned the steering wheel to the left at a good angle. This time, she had to be faster than the previous time. Sure enough, after the driver saw her eyes clearly, he stepped on the accelerator with a boom and sped up. When the other car sped up, Ching Su threw the pieces of black sesame in her hand out and shouted, "Come on! I'll give you some nails." The man in shades only saw the contemptuous look of the arrogant woman in the Cayenne. She was arrogant and smug, as if victory was in her hands. It was only when he stepped on the accelerator that he realized that the other party had thrown a pair of small black objects. He could not see what they were, but they were small black objects. They could not be anything good. Look at the woman's smile. After so many collisions, he was already used to dodging. He was already very vigilant. After so many collisions, she must have noticed his vigilance. That was why she threw those things at him when he stepped on the accelerator. Nails. Yes, nails. Look at her, smiling so slyly. She didn't look very old and didn't seem to be very good at hiding her age. She could be so complacent with such a small victory. She stepped hard on the brakes, and Ye's head hit the back of the seat with a bang. Yi wondered if Jiang Zhao would still want her if she became stupid from the collision. Just as the Honda stepped on the brakes, Qing Su instantly sped up and drove the car to the left. Just as the Honda was trying to avoid the large number of nails in front of it, Qing Su's car had already adjusted its direction amidst the screeching sound of friction. She rushed towards the Honda's driver's seat. The Honda had just put the R into reverse gear when the left door of the driver's seat was slammed shut. At this moment, Qing Su scolded, "Such an expensive car, but it doesn't have an airbag? What a scam." She was originally afraid that the airbag would suffocate her to death, but with such a strong collision, not only did the airbag not suffocate her to death, it did not even open. Her collision was self-destructive. Maybe it was because she had never taken such a risk before, or maybe it was because she was too young. So when she collided with the car, she had no idea that this collision would be fatal for her. Maybe it was because she had never treated her own life as her own. Due to inertia, she used all her strength to charge forward. The airbag did not open, so her ribs collided firmly with the hard steering wheel. Although she felt the danger and used all her strength to support herself, she did not let her body get close to the steering wheel. However, the sudden pain from her ribs still caused blood to gush out of her mouth. The sound of the wind beside her ears became clearer and clearer. It was so clear that she could hear other sounds besides the wind. Her mother was laughing, her mother was singing to her, and the neighbor's child was fighting with her for something. When he couldn't get it, he called her a little bastard without a father. What else was there? Also, her mother said that she had a father. Her father was far away. She heard the sound of water, a loud splash. It was the sound of something heavy falling into the water. Suddenly, her eyes seemed to light up. Her mother's flowery dress had fallen into the water. She wanted to pick it up, but she couldn't. Yi was lying in the hospital. The doctor said that his internal injuries were not serious and his bones were not broken. It was just that his joints were dislocated. However, there was a blood clot in his head. Although it wasn't much, it affected the patient's recovery. Qing Su and Yi were staying in the same hospital. They were just next door. Although the person who was kidnapped was Yi, Qing Su's internal organs were injured. 2 of her ribs were broken and pierced into her lungs. Jiang Zhao could hear Min Hongsheng crying in the next room almost every day. The people involved were unconscious. No one knew what happened at the time. Min Hongsheng only thought that Qing Su had offended someone she shouldn't have. He regretted every day that he had done something evil and implicated his daughter. Because the Kayan was hit like that, Min Hongsheng thought that it must be an enemy who wanted to kill Qing Su. However, he couldn't figure it out. Who would hate Qing Su so much? It didn't make sense. Qing Su was just an illegitimate daughter. He rarely revealed his love for Qing Su to others. If someone wanted to take revenge, they should be targeting their son. After all, in a wealthy family, the male was the master. Qing Su was just a daughter. He suddenly thought of Min Zikai and Lan Qiuyue. Usually, the 2 of them didn't like Qing Su and always took the opportunity to humiliate and abuse her. Lan Qiuyue once said that she wanted Qing Su to die without a complete body, just like her mother. It would be best if her body couldn't even be found after she died. Only then would she be able to vent her hatred. However, no matter how he interrogated them, his son and wife refused to admit that they had harmed Qing Su. They even swore to do so. The thing that Jiang Zhao couldn't accept the most was that the person who kidnapped Yi actually committed suicide. When the police car chased him to the scene of the incident, he probably heard the police siren and suffered serious internal injuries. He couldn't escape and directly cut his artery. Such a way of death made Jiang Zhao want to chop the corpse into pieces. He checked the car and found that the owner was a boss car. On the day of Yi's accident, the car was stolen. However, when the car was stolen, he was having a rendezvous with a prostitute at a hotel. After a few hours, When he came out and found that the car was gone, he wanted to call the police but didn't know how to say it. He was a man with a family in high city. In a place like a hotel, he was afraid that his wife would ask him the reason for losing the car. If she questioned him carefully, he was afraid that he would spill the beans. His wife was a shrewd woman. For a moment, he was conflicted about how to solve the problem. He dilly-dallied until the police came to him at 8 o'clock in the evening. The car was stolen, so the owner's information was useless for Jiang Zhao to find the culprit. The fingerprint comparison came up with nothing. The DNA analysis came up with no leads. Even the identity of the kidnapper, who was obviously not a newbie, couldn't be found. There were a few people who looked similar, but they were all in prison or committing crimes in other cities. Jiang Zhao racked his brains, but he couldn't find anything even if he grew stubble. Although Wu deliberately didn't pay attention to Yi Er's matter, he also told himself that he would be at ease and not disturb her. As long as she was living well, after a long period of calmness, he might be able to face these things calmly. However, Jiang Zhao knew that he liked Yi Er. Shi Zhentian knew that he loved Yi Er deeply, but Qin Rongfang didn't know. That day, Wu happened to be resting at home. Qin Rongfang was looking for Shi Zhentian to play chess. Qin Rongfang didn't know about Yi Er's accident immediately. He had already been sent to the emergency room. Only then did the director of the hospital call him and tell him that Jiang Zhao was emotionally unstable and that he had to be taken out of the hospital. No one could persuade him, but perhaps Grandpa's words would be useful. Qin Rongfang's phone immediately fell to the ground. Shi Zhentian asked anxiously, and Qin Rongfang spoke intermittently. Before the two elders could leave, Wu had already rushed to the Liu family's house. Wu rushed to the hospital and pinned Jiang Zhao down with 2 punches. The last time they fought, Jiang Zhao was the one who attacked first, but Wu used some tricks to make his injuries look more serious. He admitted that his intentions weren't pure. But this time, he didn't feel anything except hatred. Come and see. Hongcha 866. Chapter 572. He hated himself for being a step too late. He hated Jiang Zhao for not being able to protect Yi Er even though he had her all to himself. He hated himself for caring so much about the affection of the previous generation. He channeled all his hatred into his fist and punched Jiang Zhao in the face. Jiang Zhao had been in a daze all this time, but he only woke up after being punched twice by Wu. When he woke up, he condensed all his anger into violence. He also needed to vent. He had to vent, or he would go crazy. Yunwa's fist came down and he screamed in pain. Jiang Zhao! Why don't you die? What's the difference between you and death? Jiang Zhao punched Wu in the face. The whites of his eyes turned red. Shi Wu! Get the F***ck out of here. If it weren't for Jiang Liqing, Qin Fian, and the others who came forward to pull the two of them apart, there would probably be 2 more hospital beds. Jiang Liqing yelled at Jiang Zhao in the beginning and used his usual style to force Jiang Zhao to go back and rest. Later on, he compromised and tried his best to help Jiang Zhao think of a way to find the murderer. Jiang Zhao insisted in the beginning, but in the end, he compromised and took shifts. He didn't do his job properly at work. All day long, he tried to find clues from a person who didn't have an arrow to point to. It was like this every day. Another night passed. Jiang Zhao sat by Yi's bedside and slowly combed her hair. With a long sigh, he lowered his head and closed his eyes. He wrapped Yi's hand in his palms and pressed it between his eyebrows. In a low voice he said, Yunyi, I'm really useless as a husband. It's been more than half a month, and I haven't found a single clue. I was too conceited. I thought that no one was smarter than me, that everyone was afraid of me, so I kept offending people everywhere I went. If I had known, I definitely wouldn't have chosen this path. Yunyi, what do you think we should do? When I think about not being able to find that person, I can't eat or sleep. I clearly know that the person who committed suicide wasn't the mastermind. I clearly know, but there's nothing I can do. You must feel that you married the wrong person, a useless man. But I always thought that I was very powerful, so powerful that I could give you the best life, the most stable life. He really wanted to pinch the hand in his palm. If it was before, it would be fine. If it was before, he would pinch her so hard that she would frown. Every day, the doctor would say that she was about to wake up, But time could only tick by tick. The second hand had to tick 60 times to pass a minute. The minute hand had to tick 60 times to pass an hour. The hour hand had to tick 24 times to pass a day. He didn't use much strength. He opened his palm and his lips fell on the hand in his palm. He rubbed it gently and repeatedly. His voice was a little hoarse. Yun Yi, Shi Un Wu said that if he found the murderer before I did, he would let me divorce you. He said that I didn't deserve it. He sighed almost inaudibly. This time, I didn't fight with him, nor did I quarrel with him. I know his background, although you didn't believe me. So, with one more person looking one more force. After searching for so many days without any results, I forced Zhuang Yichen to look for him. He also complained incessantly. If Shi Un Wu can really find him, I have to thank him. I'll introduce a few outstanding girls to him and let him choose. But, divorce? He's dreaming. He only cares about what he says, but he loves to dream. How can anyone snatch my, Zhang Zhao's, woman? Yun Yi, even if you despise me, even if you think that I'm unreliable, I won't let Shi Un Wu have his way. He can find the murderer, but he can forget about getting the woman. I know that you escaped death this time and hate me so much. But in ancient times, married women have to say to their men, in life, I'm your woman, and in death, I'm your ghost. So, even if you hate me so much, it's useless. Even if Shi Un Wu really finds the murderer, if you think that he's capable, don't think about divorcing me because you're my woman, and in death, you're also my woman. At this time, Jiang Zhao had completely given up his previous high and mighty attitude. He felt that he was very weak. At a time like this, he even felt that he was very incompetent. But even though he was incompetent, he could still act shamelessly. Even if Yi Er looked down on him because of this matter and felt that he wasn't a reliable person, he didn't care. He wouldn't keep his promise. Promise? What promise? He had never promised Shi Un Wu anything. Had he? It had always been Shi Un Wu talking to himself. He had never gone overboard from the beginning to the end. What kind of promise was this? He wasn't a fool. How could he agree to any conditions that others made? Although Yi Er hadn't woken up, he had always listened to the doctor's words. She was fine and was just in a temporary coma. The doctor had already said that it wasn't a big deal. What could have happened? The girl wasn't even 20 years old yet. She was young and strong. She was at the peak of her energy. What could have happened? Although it wasn't appropriate to describe a woman as young and strong, as long as he could describe her as healthy, he didn't care about her gender. Jiang Zhao's calmness disappeared after Qing Su woke up. Min Hongsheng rushed out of the ward like a madman and shouted loudly, "Nurse! Nurse! My daughter is awake! She's awake!" His voice scared the nurse so much that she ran over and kept blowing air into her mouth to signal Min Hongsheng to be gentle. However, Min Hongsheng couldn't help but be agitated. He continued to shout foolishly, "What are you shushing for? My daughter is awake. Can't you hear me? Quick, come and take a look." Yi Er's ward was next door. Zhang Zhao was keeping watch by Yi Er's bedside. His urgent and agitated shout stunned Zhang Zhao. "She's awake." Qing Su and Yi Er had been discovered at the same time. He didn't know what had happened at the time, but the car had obviously been hit by Qing Su. He couldn't even tell if Qing Su had deliberately hit Yi Er to cause such serious injuries. Why was it that the person whose lung had been pierced by a rib had woken up, but his wife wasn't? The method he had been using to hypnotize himself didn't work anymore. He shouted from the room next door, "Nurse! My daughter is awake!" Zhang Zhao opened the door and shouted, "Nurse! Why is my wife still not awake?" The hospital was quiet at night, and it was a private hospital. All the people staying here were from wealthy families. Although there were only a few wards on this floor, the nurses were all panicking. They couldn't afford to offend any of them. Immediately, the doctors rushed into their respective wards. One group of them started to check on the patients who had woken up, and the other group started to check on the patients who had not woken up. Jiang Zhao had told himself that Yi Er would definitely wake up. The doctor had told him that it would be fine. Yi Er's injuries weren't serious, much lighter than young Miss Lu's. Even Lu Qing Su had woken up, so there was no reason for Yi Er's injuries to not wake up. The room was air-conditioned, and Jiang Zhao was feeling hot. He wanted to hear the doctor's explanation. After the doctor checked on Yi Er, he stood up straight and said to Jiang Zhao, "Mayor Jiang, Mrs. Jiang's condition is not bad. Her condition is getting better every day." Jiang Zhao's image and demeanor were completely destroyed after the doctor's explanation. He was an idiot who would believe this bastard who was selling dog skin plasters. He used these words to fool him every day and did not change his style at all. He was very tall, especially for a doctor who was not tall. Both of them were men, but when one of them was pushed against the wall by the other, the difference in strength was obvious. "What did you say to me? You told me that my wife's condition is not bad. Her condition is good?" Jiang Zhao was so angry that he exerted more force. The doctor rolled his eyes. He really wanted to strangle this dog skin plaster to death. If he were to strangle this dog skin plaster to death, he would not be the mayor anymore. The doctor's brain was too hot, and he couldn't control himself. How could he control himself? Jiang Zhao, who was told by the doctor every day, woke up. Jiang Zhao, who was told by the doctor every day that she was fine, was in a coma every day. How was he going to cool down? "You better give me an explanation. Tell me." "Mayor Jiang, let go of me. Let go of me. You are going to kill me." Everyone in the room didn't care about Jiang Zhao's identity. Those who could pull him pulled him, and those who could arm wrestled him. At night, the private hospital was very noisy. The head nurse on duty called the hospital director, and the hospital director called Qin Rongfang. This incident was only resolved when the Qin family arrived. But in another ward, the atmosphere was different. Jiang Zhao and family Min were not on good terms for a long time. After the Yun family's incident, family Min did not contact them. Also, when the Yun family fell, it was because of family Min. Yi Er was married to Jiang Zhao, and Jiang Zhao was classified as a dangerous person by family Min. That's why even when the incident happened at the same time, the people in the two wards did not contact each other. Min Zikai had wanted to visit Yi Er many times, but he was chased away by Jiang Zhao. At this time, he was caught by Min Hongsheng and scolded. He scolded Min Zikai for being a good-for-nothing. His own sister was still lying in bed, and he still had the mood to see whether other people's women were dead or alive. What a good-for-nothing bastard. As long as Min Zikai was scolded, as long as it was because of Qing Su, he would hate this little sister even more. Before this little sister appeared, his father had never been so heartless to him. At this time, Qing Su woke up. Min Hongsheng did not forget to share his joy with his son. He called Min Zikai to tell him that his sister had woken up. Min Zikai coldly hung up the phone. Min Hongsheng's coldness did not dampen his spirits. He continued to ask Qing Su what she wanted to eat. What does she want to drink? Then he asked the nurse if she could eat since she had just woken up. Qing Su did not ask for anything. She only asked, "Where is Sister Yi Er? Is she okay?" Min Hongsheng was slightly displeased. "Why do you care about her?" His face that had just darkened immediately smiled. He was very gentle. "Tell Dad what you want to eat." "Qing Su, do you want to eat some porridge? What flavor do you want to eat? Where is Sister Yi Er?" Min Hongsheng knew that this girl's temper was not easy to persuade, so he could only take a step back. "Dad will tell you after you eat something." Qing Su nodded. The patient who had just woken up only drank some porridge. Next door, Min Hongsheng's annoying voice kept coming in and out. Even when he asked the servant to prepare porridge, it was as if he wanted everyone on the floor to hear it. Afraid that no one would know that his daughter had woken up, he deliberately opened the door and shouted after the servant had left, "Remember, you must make the porridge thicker. Don't eat oil for the side dishes." Even though he knew that the servant had left, he still opened the door again and shouted, "Prepare a sweet porridge too. Maybe Qing Su likes sweet things. Sweet things will be more energetic." Jiang Zhao was so angry that he wanted to smash something. The person next door was already preparing himself, but his wife showed no signs of waking up. Add Song Shu 566. Chapter 573. During this period of time, he had been so neurotic that the whole family had not been able to get a good rest. Earlier, he had caused Grandpa to come to the hospital in the middle of the night. He really felt bad about it, but now that he was hot-headed and mentally unbalanced, he had his old problems again. He wanted to vent his anger on the doctor again. Qin Rongfang immediately pulled Jiang Zhao back. Zhao Zhao, it's not good for you to be so noisy. Although Yi Er is unconscious, she is still conscious. This environment is not quiet, so she won't be able to rest well. Qin Rongfang was wearing a jacket with buttons on the lapels. He was thin to begin with, so when he wore a silver-gray jacket embroidered with flowers, he did not look bloated. When it came to Jiang Zhao, he could only pull and persuade him as much as he could. If he really couldn't, he could only pretend to be sick and have a heart attack. Therefore the whole family was counting on him, this old bag of bones, to subdue Jiang Zhao. He was able to subdue Jiang Zhao, but he was only making use of Jiang Zhao's respect and concern for him. However, the nurse who was changing Yi Er's bag unintentionally said, "The moment Miss from the Liu family next door woke up, she didn't ask anything. She just asked, 'Where's Sister Yi Er?' Looks like she has a pretty good relationship with Mrs. Jiang." When Jiang Zhao heard this, he immediately quivered. He walked towards the door, pulled it open, and walked out. Although Min Hongxing did not wish to interact with Jiang Zhao, he could not openly oppose him. When Jiang Zhao heard what the nurse Miss said, he had the thought of asking Qing Su about what had happened. Qing Su was at the scene, so she would definitely have some clues. However, Min Hongxing did not give Jiang Zhao such a chance. His daughter had just woken up and needed a good rest. Her Yunyi had nothing to do with the family Min. It did not matter whether she was dead or alive. Min Hongxing, go out first. Qing Su was not used to her current state. She looked at Jiang Zhao, who was standing at the end of the bed, and wanted to sit up. However, she could not. Once she moved, her chest would hurt. It was so painful that she, who usually did not complain, frowned and felt terrible. Qing Su. Min Hongxing quickly held down Qing Su, who wanted to move. He had long been used to Qing Su calling him by name. At first, he was unhappy and even sad, but later, he had no choice but to accept it. Qing Su, you have to rest well now. The doctor said that you must not be agitated. Your lungs. Qing Su nodded and said impatiently, I know, but I've been in a coma for so long that I've become moldy. Just let me have a good time. You should rest early. Don't stay by my side. You must be tired, right? Min Hongxing could hardly believe that this was what Qing Su had said. Especially after that, she actually asked him to rest and asked if he was tired. Seeing Min Hongxing so emotional that he was crying, Qing Su said softly, Dad, go out. Okay. Dad will go out now. Call me if you need anything. Dad will come back when you're done talking to Jiang Zhao. Qing Su said, there are nurses. Go back and sleep. Min Hongxing was overwhelmed by his daughter's sudden concern. He was like a child who was flattered and at a loss. I know. I'll stay by your side and watch over you. I can rest assured. After Min Hongxing went out, Qing Su directly called out Jiang Zhao's name. Jiang Zhao. Xia Qian always felt that she was older than Yi Er. She called Jiang Zhao because of Yi Er's identity. No matter what, she was still Yi Er's elder sister. She didn't call him brother-in-law because she didn't let him down. But Qing Su was just doing it out of habit. She wasn't good at flattering people, and she wasn't good at pleasing people either. As for Jiang Zhao, he was just Yi Er's husband. She didn't need to respect him by calling him mayor or brother. Yes. What do you know? Jiang Zhao was not sure how he should treat Qing Su. He needed to know what happened to Yi Er from a person who was already conscious. But the prerequisite was that Qing Su was not involved in the kidnapping. Otherwise, his efforts would be in vain. I want to know how Sister Yi Er is doing. My dad did not tell me anything. She is still unconscious. The impact on her head might be quite serious. There is a blood clot and she will not wake up anytime soon. I think she might need surgery. Jiang Zhao's heart softened when he heard Qing Su calling Yi Er sister. At least, he could hear the concern in Qing Su's voice. Qing Su's brows furrowed. Crash. Yes. Jiang Zhao was still standing at the end of the bed, looking down at Qing Su. He did not dare to miss any changes in her emotions. Qing Su suddenly felt guilty and pained. She had good intentions, yet she had caused Yi Er to be in such a miserable state. She took in a long, trembling breath. It's all my fault. When I hit that Honda, I used a lot of force. If I didn't hit the car like that, Yi or Jejia might have been fine. Jiang Zhao's expression changed as he started walking. He didn't think that there was such a coincidence because he had seen the video of the person who kidnapped Yi Er. It was because it wasn't Lu Qingsu that he thought it was a coincidence. But now, Qingsu had admitted it herself. He was thinking, Yi Er had not woken up yet, so what right did this wretched girl have to wake up? He walked over to Qingsu's bedside in a few steps. Just as he was about to strangle this wretched girl to death, Qingsu looked up with her doll-like eyes. I was also anxious at the time. Sister Yi Er was in the Honda and did not come out, but I clearly saw her stretching half of her body out of the window. She must have been calling for me. Later on, no matter how I chased after the car, she did not come out. I was very anxious. At first, I thought it was you who was driving, but later on, I realized something was wrong. I was worried that something might have happened to her, so the only thing I could do was to take the man who was driving. Jiang Zhao was very tall. When he bent over, he froze in place. Usually, when he was working, he looked handsome even when he bent over. If Yi Er had been here, if Yi Er had been lying in bed, he would have bent over to touch her, hug her, or kiss her. He would have been gentle and affectionate. But now, he was frozen in place, not moving at all, as if he had been petrified. Looking at Qingsu, who was full of guilt as she recounted everything that had happened by the river, his eyes reddened, and he almost shed tears. No one would be like this. Other than family, they would give up their lives and forget about themselves. If he had been here at the time, he would have chased after her and risked everything to save Yi Er. That would have been the right thing to do. But Qingsu, the 17-year-old Qingsu, he did not know why she had risked her life to save Yi Er. She had even broken her ribs on the steering wheel and pierced her lungs. Fortunately, they had arrived in time that day. Otherwise, how could she have survived? But what was he thinking just now? He was gauging the heart of a gentleman with the yardstick of a villain. He was suspicious of everyone. Qingsu had just woken up and did not have much energy. Jiang Zhao bent over. She saw that his face was haggard. He looked different from when she had seen him before. His eyes were bloodshot. When he bent over like this, his face hovered above her head. She thought he was acting like this because he could not hear her clearly. And his gaze changed from anger to uneasiness. Did he hate that he could not hear what she was saying? She took a deep breath, wanting to speak louder and clearer. But when she took a deep breath, Yizi felt like her lungs were about to split open. When Jiang Zhao saw that Qingsu could not hide the pain in her eyes and that she was groaning in pain, he reached out to press the bedside bell. Qingsu, do your lungs hurt? Hearing Jiang Zhao's gentle voice, Qingsu nodded and then shook her head. I'm fine. I just need to rest for a while. Qingsu, I owe you a big favor. If you need my help in the future, I will definitely not refuse. Jiang Zhao could not say anything more out of concern. He felt that the best thing he could say now was to make a promise to the person who had saved his wife's life. Because the person who should have had his ribs and lungs broken should have been him. Qingsu and Yi Er were not related in any way. It was only right to repay a drop of kindness. If this were in ancient times, the whole family would have to kneel down and kowtow to thank their savior. What are you saying? Not only did I not save her, but I also caused her to fall into a coma. I've already asked for forgiveness, and you still say that. Qingsu's guilt could not be concealed again. When the nurse entered the room, Min Hongsheng ran in after her. When he saw his daughter, who he treated as his sweetheart, was in so much pain that her face was sweating. Without saying a word, he pushed away Jiang Zhao, who had just stood up straight. Jiang Zhao did not expect Min Hongsheng to do this. He immediately staggered and fell on the accompanying bed next to him. Although his handsome eyebrows were knitted, he did not want to argue with him. Min Hongsheng was so angry that his voice was loud and clear. What do you want to do? What did you do to my daughter? Min Hongsheng, I used too much strength to breathe. It was Jiang Zhao who called the ambulance for me. Min Hongsheng turned his head and saw that Qingsu had already closed her eyes. Clearly, before he went out at that time, his daughter still called him Dad. Now, she was only calling his name. He only pushed Jiang Zhao because he was worried that Jiang Zhao had caused her pain. Could it be? Could it be that Qingsu was interested in Jiang Zhao? He stepped back and let the nurse examine Qingsu. At this time, He also involuntarily began to size up Jiang Zhao and Qing Su. He secretly thought that Qing Su was 17 years old and was in high school. Although this was the case, it was not that he had not considered finding a good family for her in the future. Although Jiang Zhao was good in all aspects, he did not mind that Jiang Zhao was more than 10 years older than Qing Su. However, he minded that Jiang Zhao had been married before. It was rare that Min Hongsheng could actually think of such a constructive problem at this time. It was also when Min Hongsheng's brain was unfortunately in a state of paralysis due to the virus that Jiang Zhao left the room. He could not help much here. Compared to the woman in the next room, what he had for Qing Su's pain was also fake concern. He had now become a person who did not even want to pretend to care. He just casually closed the door to make it easier for the nurses to come in and out. He took a shower and went to sleep. Jiang Zhao wondered if he could take a break from work for a while. Recently, his mental state was not very good. Although he was staying in the hospital, he still slept on time. There were nurses and nurses in the hospital. He was here purely to make himself feel more at ease. Sleeping in the hospital, he could not fall into a deep sleep and had messy dreams. Perhaps it was because he thought too much during the day, and Qing Su woke up today and could even eat. Jiang Zhao could not convince himself to stay calm no matter what. Dreams were always complicated and long, and sometimes they were fragmented. Yi was too far away from him. There was a clear but black river in the middle. It should be very deep to become such a color. He saw her standing on the other side of the river and reached out to her. He told her, "If you want a home, I will give you a home. I will give you all the warmth you want. I will treat you well and always treat you well. Come over quickly." Attention, Song Shu 566. Chapter 574. He felt that his hands were numb and his mouth was dry. The woman on the other side of the river just stood there stiffly, not moving at all. She was wearing the white dress that he had bought for her. Her hair was draped over her shoulders, and when the wind blew, the hem of her skirt and hair swayed gently. Her eyes were dull, and she really looked like Xiao Longnu who had stayed in an ancient tomb for a long time. In the face of Yi Er's indifference, Jiang Zhao's temper flared up. He looked at the river in front of him, and he couldn't cross it. He shouldn't have asked her to come over. All right, he would go over. But just as he reached the river and was about to swim over, the woman on the other side spoke. When she spoke, her face was full of pain. "I don't love you. I don't love you. Don't come over. Don't come over." Before she even entered the river, it was as if she was drowning. He had said it countless times, and he had said it countless times to himself. Anyway, she didn't love him. Anyway, he didn't care. It didn't matter if she didn't love him. Anyway, she could only be with him. He didn't mind those bullshit tea feelings and love. It wasn't like he could eat it. "It's okay. You can be at ease as Mrs. Jiang. It's okay. Don't feel like you're in pain. I didn't ask you to love me. I don't mind. Don't come over. Let me be at ease. Let me be free." There was no sound on the surface of the river. Her weak voice came from the other side. When it came, it sounded like it came from the water. He couldn't even hear the ups and downs in her words. There were no ups and downs at all. Only her gently furrowed brows told him that she was really in pain. That kind of pain spread from her eyes to her eyebrows, and then slowly flowed to her entire body. That kind of sadness and pain seemed to have suddenly come from hell. It turned blood red and flowed all over her body. He watched helplessly as her white dress was dyed a bright red from the pain. It was on her arms, face, and everywhere. He jumped into the river and swam towards her. He thought that even if he tortured each other with her, even if she struggled in pain until her entire body was covered in blood, he would not let go. It did not matter if it was dyed red. There was a river here, he would wash her clean. Suddenly, there seemed to be many seaweeds growing in the river. The seaweeds swayed their waists in the water and reached out their slender hands, trying to grab his legs. At this time, he only cared about using brute force to swim to the other side. The seaweeds that wrapped around his ankles were pulled apart by him every time. His eyes were above the water, watching the woman in blood slowly turn around without any reluctance. More and more seaweed grew on his legs, and he could no longer kick them. The things in front of him turned into fish, prawns, and black seaweed. He flipped over and looked up. Some sunlight pierced through the water surface. He looked at the sun on the water surface, and it was divided into many pieces. The clear river water slowly turned red from the shore. Their breaths were accompanied by large bubbles coming out of their mouths as they sank deeper into the water. Suddenly, he felt something fall from the river, and the water pressure around him changed. He suddenly opened his eyes. The person who fell from the shore was blood red. She was immersed in the water, and her dress slowly turned white. The redness on her face and hands also slowly faded. However, her eyes were empty. She looked in his direction as if she had been freed from the pain. She sank even faster than him. The white dress in the water puffed up, like a cloud floating in the sky. Yun Yi. He called out to her, but his mouth was full of bubbles. There was no sound, only bubbles appearing and disappearing. He wanted to swim over with all his might. He bent down and pulled the seaweed on his legs. He thought that she was going to die. He thought that he was going to die too. If that was really the case, it would be good to die together with her. He didn't expect that the urge to die together would be so strong. When he stretched his limbs and swam over, the seaweed seemed to open a path for him. However, when he hugged his woman, he became greedy again. What was so good about dying? He wouldn't feel anything if he died. It was better to live together. However, he was exhausted. It was a little strenuous to carry the woman who had no strength at all. When he was about to reach the water surface, he couldn't swim anymore. He thought that he should let her go out to the water surface to take a breath. He lifted her up, but he was sinking. Suddenly, he saw her jump out of the water like a fish and swim further and further away from him. He thought that she must have been freed. Some people said that you couldn't see the tears of a fish because the fish lived in the water. She left and didn't even look back. She definitely couldn't see him. Even if she turned back, she definitely couldn't see him because he was in the water. The southern home was a small high-rise duplex. Jolie lived here. She got out of bed and started washing up and putting on makeup. There was another man sleeping on the bed. It was Yuan Shichong. Yuan Shichong asked as he put on his clothes. "It's so early. Where are you going shopping?" Jolie reached out her fair and tender hands and patted the moisturizer on her face. "No, who's shopping every day? I'm going to the hospital to see Yi Er today." The latter half of her sentence was a little cold. Yuan Shichong threw the tie in his hand and said loudly, "Didn't I say? You're not allowed to go." Jolie didn't take Yuan Shichong's violence seriously. She squeezed some lotion on the back of her hand and rubbed it on her face bit by bit. As she rubbed, she gently patted it with her fingertips and rolled her eyes at the man in the mirror. "Why do you care? Don't bother about my business. I have to go to the hospital today no matter what." When Yi Er was in trouble, Jiang Zhao already called to inform me that you didn't allow me to go. The more I think about it these past few days, the more I feel that something is wrong. Jiang Zhao didn't even call me after the incident. I called Yun Hongwei to talk to Si Jia, but Si Jia ignored me. How can there be someone like you in this world? Yi Er is my biological daughter. Shouldn't I go and see her at this time? Jolie sniffled and pulled out another tissue. She closed her eyes and pressed the tissue against her face, wetting a small patch. "Crying? What did I say? You promised to cut off all ties with those annoying people in the Yun family if you were to be with me. You promised, and now you're regretting it." Jolie threw away the tissue in her hand and raised her chin. She looked at herself in the mirror and began to apply foundation. "Yes, I regret it. I want to see Yi Er. You can do whatever you want." Yuan Shichong was already used to Jolie's temperament that changed her mind from time to time. Anyway, he couldn't force her. He turned around and picked up the tie that he had thrown on the bed and tied it. "Go and see her. Go and see if she has tubes all over her body. You'd better help her and let her see the King of Hell. It's better if she sees the King of Hell. That way, it'll be easy for you to get custody of Si Jia. I don't believe that Jiang Zhao will care about a dead person's brother and father. Yun Hongwei can only continue to go to jail." Just as he finished speaking, Jolie smashed the foundation bottle in her hand hard on the back of Yuan Shichong's head with a bang. Yuan Shichong turned around in pain and saw that Jolie had already stood up and turned to face him. She glared at him with an angry expression. "Yuan Shichong, how many times have I told you not to talk about Yi Er? You actually have such bad intentions." Zhou, don't be ungrateful. Everything you eat and use belongs to me, Yuan Shichong. Yes, fortunately, this house is under my name. Get out of here right now. When Yuan Shichong saw that Zhou was serious, he clenched his fists and stopped being angry. Okay, I was wrong. I shouldn't have talked about your daughter. If you want to see her, then go. This should be fine, right? Just go home early. Zhou turned around and sat down to continue tidying up and putting on makeup. Yuan Shichong reached out and touched the back of his head. There was actually a big bump. This damned woman was really heavy-handed. Jiang Zhao felt as if he had been tied up by seaweed again. He couldn't move at all. He kept looking at the sun above his head. The light was not glaring at all. It was peaceful and serene. The bubbles in his mouth changed from big bubbles to small bubbles that he couldn't see clearly. He only knew that it was difficult for him to move his chest. Zhou entered the ward and saw that Jiang Zhao was sleeping with his head covered. She did not feel that there was anything worth avoiding. She wanted to ask about Yi Er's situation, so she pulled away Jiang Zhao's blanket. When she pulled it away, she saw that his face was covered in sweat. There were even water stains at the corners of his eyes. His face was a little pale. She was shocked. She quickly pushed him a few times. Jiang Zhao, are you sick? Next to them was her daughter's bed. There were no tubes all over her body like Yuan Shichong had said. There were only bags of fluids. Her son-in-law was sleeping on the side bed. His face was pale as if he was seriously ill. Her heart was being squeezed. After Jiang Zhao was pushed awake, he sat up. His eyes looked in Zhou Li's direction, but his gaze seemed to penetrate Zhou Li and look further away. Suddenly, he remembered the dream and lifted the blanket. Where's Yun Yi? Zhou Li was puzzled. She's on the hospital bed. Jiang Zhao stopped preparing to put on his shoes and looked at the person lying motionless on the hospital bed. His face was wet with sweat, and his eyes were slightly red. Thinking about the dream, his body suddenly trembled. Before he could put his feet into his shoes, he took 2 steps to the bedside. He reached out and touched her nose. Her breathing was even. It seemed like she was still dreaming. He heaved a sigh of relief. What flashed in front of his eyes was her sad and painful expression. It was still those weak words. She said that she did not want him. His mind was still thinking about the silk dress that had turned blood red. He watched her collapse. She said that she wanted to be free. He started to breathe heavily again, panting heavily. It was clearly just a dream, but the pain in his heart was unbearable. He had heard of some cases where patients with serious illnesses did not want to receive treatment anymore because they could no longer bear the pain caused by treatment. Those people wanted to be free all the time. They wanted to go to heaven where they could be free, without drugs or machines. Was this dream given to him by Yi Er? But the doctor said that she was fine. She was only in a temporary coma. The doctor said that everything was fine. Until now, she had not undergone any major treatment. The doctor also said that the blood clot in her head did not necessarily require surgery. It could be treated with physical therapy. He did not let her suffer a lot. He also could not bear for her to suffer. What did she mean by free? He reached out and touched the 4 bag by her bedside. It was full again. The nurse must have asked the nurse to come and change it in the middle of the night. He traced the 4 bag down and touched the roller to slow down the drip. He wanted to give her less pain. Other than this, he did not know how to reduce her pain. Perhaps she was really like what Grandpa said. She was conscious. She needed to rest. He did not know where the needle hole on the back of his hand was. She must have felt it. Jiang Zhao, don't cry. Yi Er will be fine. Zhou Li was a little angry at Jiang Zhao for not calling her. Later, she realized that his gaze was always on things related to Yi Er. She did not know where his mind had wandered. She just kept crying and did not make a sound. Jiang Zhao was stunned by Zhou Li's call. When he came back to his senses, he saw that Zhou Li was very blurry. He reached out and touched his face. He did not know if it was sweat or tears. Awesome novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 575. Jiang Zhao, Yi Er will be fine. Jiang Zhao did not feel that he had lost his composure. He did not even glance at the radiant Zhou Li and coldly replied, "Okay." She turned her back, bent over, and wiped her tears on the blanket that Ye was covering. She said angrily, "I'm wearing such an expensive suit and yet I'm wiping your tears on your blanket. You're lucky that I'm wiping my tears on your blanket." It was as if Yi Er was still awake at this moment. They were usually like this and could not help but say some nasty things. Jiang Zhao's indifference towards Zhou Li was not intentional. He really did not take Zhou Li seriously. In the beginning, he called Zhou Li and told her about Yi Er's situation. Zhou Li agreed to come over to take a look, but she did not even respond. He called again to confirm, but in the end, she simply said that she had something to do. Forget it. It was good that she did not have a mother. He did not have to worry so much. In the future, he would persuade Yi Er not to care about these things. With his father and brother around, he would still feel like a family. How could this woman, Zhou Li, be a woman who could give others warmth? "Jiang Zhao, I'm here to see Yi Er." At this moment, Zhou Li felt that when Jiang Zhao did not respect her, she was actually inferior to a guest standing here. "Okay, you see, she's still sleeping. When she wakes up another day, I'll call you." Jiang Zhao leaned over Yi Er weakly. He really wanted to throw her into the bathtub and give her a good bath. Zhou Li was furious. When Yi Er was awake in the past, Jiang Zhao would call her mom hypocritically. Now, not only did he ask her to leave, but he also directly used the word you instead. Zhou Li only appeared after such a long time. In Jiang Zhao's eyes, it was only because of Si Jie's custody rights. It really did not make him feel good. His mood was bad enough, really bad. If Zhou Li continued to stay here, he was afraid that he would have to vent all the emotions that he had suppressed during this period of time. Because his family was always worried that he would be in a bad mood, they tolerated him, making him feel embarrassed to lose his temper at them. "Brother." Qin Fian came in from the open door. When he saw Zhou Li, he only called Jiang Zhao. Qin Fian had heard about Zhou Li's custody rights from Jiang Zhao, so it was natural that his impression of Zhou Li was not good. "Fian." Jiang Zhao sat up and turned. "Brother, let's go. Uncle Wu has arranged for people to guard here. I'll send you to the building." After Yi Er's accident, Qin Fian or Zhuahao sent Jiang Zhao to work every day. They took turns telling him new things on the way to work. As usual, Jiang Zhao went to the bathroom to wash his face, brush his teeth, and shave. When he returned to the room, he faintly said to Zhou Li, "Mom, I want to change my clothes. There is no private changing room in the ward, so it's not very convenient." At this time, he called Mom, but the meaning was even more obvious. Zhou Li was embarrassed. Qin Fian pushed up his glasses and did not call anyone. He only pursed his lips and gave a forced smile. After Zhou Li left, Jiang Zhao took off his pajamas and threw them on the bed. He took out his suit, shirt, and sweater from the wardrobe and put them on one by one. Qin Fian helped Jiang Zhao straighten the back of his shirt collar and raised it slightly. "You are very heartless, even chasing your mother-in-law away. You are very understanding." Jiang Zhao looked down at the front of his shirt, buttoned it, and smiled. "Of course. Why don't you commit incest with me?" Normally, Qin Fian would only tell Jiang Zhao that he did not commit incest. Recently, in order to make Jiang Zhao happy, he had done a lot of things to himself for Jiang Zhao. "Don't say it so loudly. Be careful that your sister-in-law finds out. Later, she will insert the needle in her arm into your hand and make you give her an 4 drip. Sigh, if you are willing to do this, then I can only be willing to be tormented by you." Qin Fian took Jiang Zhao's briefcase and sat on the table by the window. "Zhou Li came, but you didn't let her accompany sister-in-law. You chased her away just like that. I'm afraid she is sad." "Sad." Jiang Zhao looked at the mirror outside the wardrobe and put the tie around his neck. He raised his head and looked at himself in the mirror. He snorted. It would have been better if he didn't say this, but now that he said this, he was furious. "She will be sad? Does she look like she's sad? I seriously suspect that she gave birth to Yi Er when she was underage. Look at her now. She clearly looks like a woman in her 30s. When she gave birth to Yi Er, she must have been so young that she didn't know anything. Otherwise, when Yi Er was lying on the bed like this, I actually couldn't see any love in her eyes. Your beauty, you and my sister Jeanne are examples of women who don't care about their families. But are they the same as her? No matter how much they don't care about their families, they still love their children, right? Sigh, now that you mention it, I suddenly feel that Beauty U is exceptionally cute and likable. Of course, although they didn't care about us since we were young, when did they not rush back from afar at critical moments? Although sometimes we say that it's annoying, aren't we quite happy in our hearts? But look at Jolie. How old was Yi Er when my father-in-law had an accident? She dared to disappear without a trace and leave a mess to Yi Er. If it were anyone else, I'm afraid I would have kicked them. Don't be so angry. Qin Fian placed his briefcase on his desk and walked behind Jiang Zhao. He tugged at the hem of his suit. After all, she's your mother-in-law. What kind of mother-in-law is she? Calling her mom is already giving Yi Er 10,000% of face. I can't possibly keep her here. You didn't see it. Every time she sees Yi Er, she makes Yi Er so anxious that she cries. I can't casually throw the person on the hospital bed to her to agitate her. What if she starts drugging Yi Er the moment I leave? I have to be on guard against this kind of thing. It was only when he saw the helper at home coming over that Jiang Zhao gave Yi Er a kiss and followed Qin Fian out of the ward. After getting into the car, Jiang Zhao said, Fian, you actually don't have to send me off. I can get Lu Cheng to pick me up. Qin Fian handed Jiang Zhao the breakfast in a thermos that they brought from home. Have some porridge. Today's porridge is made with red beans. Uncle Wu said that you should eat some red bean porridge in the morning. He didn't agree to let Lu Cheng pick Jiang Zhao up. After all, Lu Cheng was an outsider. He always knew that Jiang Zhao was very guarded against outsiders. How could he be as relaxed as him and Zhua Hao picking him up? When he was with them, Jiang Zhao would still joke around. If he was with his colleagues, he would probably be even more depressed. Grandfather had reminded him many times that he must not let Jiang Zhao be depressed. Aunt and uncle would always thank him and Zhua Hao. They said that it was good that they had so many brothers. If there was anything, everyone could help. Actually, in private, the elders all complained about Yi Er. It was just that they ran into a wall with Jiang Zhao, so they didn't mention it again. Jiang Zhao wouldn't reject the good intentions of the family. He knew that everyone seemed to be going on with their lives normally, but they were all taking care of his feelings. They just didn't want him to feel burdened if he found out. Opening the lid, Qin Fian started driving. Jiang Zhao began to eat porridge and side dishes. The red beans must have been soaked for an entire night. The beans melted in his mouth very quickly. The diced radish was Jiang Zhao's favorite side dish to eat with porridge. The Qin family's mother would make a big bowl of it every year. The diced radish made a crisp sound in his mouth when he bit it. Qin Fian had been driving slowly. In addition, it was in the morning, so he couldn't go faster even if he wanted to. Jiang Zhao had developed a habit of eating in the car every day. Qin Fian glanced at the man in the passenger's seat at the red light. Sigh, he was really sloppy and scared. If it were in the past, even if you beat him to death, he wouldn't eat in the car no matter how busy he was. Jiang Zhao cared a lot about his image. Now, he didn't care about it at all. Jiang Zhao never ate in the ward. The Qin family would send food to him. Otherwise, he would eat in the car on the way to work. If it was lunch break, he would eat in the lounge. Actually, he didn't deliberately test Jiang Zhao's weakness. It was just that when he sent breakfast to Jiang Zhao to eat in the room that day, he was rejected. After that, he quarreled with Jiang Zhao. In the end, Jiang Zhao's eyes were a little red. He softly choked and said, In the past when your sister-in-law was by my side, we would eat together. If she had some awareness and knew that I was eating alone and didn't let her eat, she would be very sad. From then on, Qin Fian didn't bring breakfast upstairs anymore. He just threw it in the car. After getting in the car, he drove alone and ate breakfast alone. After Jiang Zhao finished his breakfast, he closed the lid and put the thermos on the back seat to save space. He wiped his mouth with a tissue and threw it into a small paper bag in the car door. Fian, last time I told you about the coastline, did you pay attention to it? Qin Fian nodded. Yes. Recently, the coastline has been causing trouble. It seems to be getting bigger and bigger. Jiang Zhao leaned back and stretched his back. He hadn't exercised in a long time and felt that his back was very tired. What else do you know? Qin Fian knew that Jiang Zhao wouldn't tell him this for no reason. When he glanced over, he just happened to catch a glimpse of the man in the front passenger seat. His handsome face was solemn. He knew that he must have some secrets. His devilish face gently curved into a smile. The hand holding the steering wheel tapped lightly as he searched for all the information he knew. Zhuang Yifeng is probably at a disadvantage this time. Now there's a wave of cancellations. Although his uncle helped him with the loan, if this matter gets out of hand, his uncle will also be affected. Moreover, the coastline is quite big. It's almost equivalent to the sum of the buildings he built in the past. If this matter really gets out of hand, I'm afraid he can only auction the coastline. Qin Fian's tone was somewhat gloating. What do you think of this matter? Jiang Zhao crossed his arms and tilted his head, looking at Qin Fian with a sharp gaze. Me? Huh. Qin Fian listened to Jiang Zhao's questions. He suddenly felt that although the incident with Yi Er was a big blow to Jiang Zhao, this guy's perception of the outside world was still very high. You want to eat it? Jiang Zhao's eyebrows were like knives, filled with a cold aura. Add Xinwu 799. Chapter 576. Brother, you're so smart. I wanted to give you a surprise. Qin Fian smiled shamelessly. The coastline is in a good location. I've also checked the foundation of the building and the construction of the building. It's not a shoddy construction. Not only that, it's also considered a very good real estate project. So I think it's a good deal for me to buy it. Fian, you can't eat this plate. Because Yi Chen wants this plate. Qin Fian's voice was slightly stiff. This was not his usual attitude. It was not casual and unruly enough. The too serious Qin Fian was not suitable for such a flashy outfit. Although he was wearing a gray checkered suit, he wore a fruit green sweater, which made the gray a bright color. He knew that Zhuang Yichen and Zhuang Yichen had always been at odds with each other. The two brothers had been fighting for many years. As long as it was something that belonged to Zhuang Yichen would want to buy it. However, business was always about maximizing profits. There was no reason for him to give up such a big piece of fat meat. Besides, if it was an auction, it would be a fair competition. He always knew that Zhuang Yichen and Jiang Zhao had always been on good terms. Could it be that Jiang Zhao wanted to help Zhuang Yichen? Jiang Zhao said, "There's a big problem with this plate now. If you get it, I'm afraid you won't be able to clean up your mess in the future. Zhuang Yichen knows that you want this plate. He won't fight with you. But if you buy this plate now, not only will you give Zhuang Yichen a chance to make a comeback, you'll also spend more money. Why bother? Zhuang Yichen already wants to auction it now?" Qin Fian did not expect things to turn out this way. His information was considered rather secretive. He did not expect Zhuang Yifeng to already be thinking about the auction. The Zhuang family could not hold on anymore? Jiang Zhao nodded. Right now, his uncle is already under investigation. This plate is related to the secret connections of many government officials. Zhuang Yifeng couldn't have set up such a big plate on his own. Whether it's the supervisor or the planning department, everything is involved. If you take over this plate so quickly, that nest of wolf feces might stain your body. If you want to stain it, wait for me and Zhuang Yichen to clean it up before you do it. Otherwise, you won't even be able to spit it out when the time comes. Qin Fian was driving. Brother, why are you only telling me now? I never thought that you would be interested in Zhuang Yifeng's things. After all, you always knew that Yichen had always wanted to snatch Zhuang Yifeng's things. Yichen came to me about this matter. He said that he didn't want to get you into trouble because of his family matters. Regarding this matter, you should bide your time and not make a move first. Okay. Qin Fian licked his lips. Brother, do you need my help with Yichen's matter? Jiang Zhao shook his head. Don't butt in. I can't quit even if I want to. His matters are really King nerve-wracking. Because I was careless in making friends with him. I have to be careful about everything when dealing with his matters. It's fortunate that he has enough perseverance and ruthlessness. Otherwise, a bunch of bad guys would rush out and tear me into pieces. Qin Fian knew that Jiang Zhao was deliberately exaggerating, so he played along and said, "You can just cut ties with him." Yeah, I have the same idea. Then I'll wait for him to report me and say that I'm in cahoots with his official business. So he's so sinister. Huh. Haha, that's why I'll only set him up. Otherwise, I'll be at a loss. Qin Fian thought to himself, next time before I do something big, I'll have to discuss it with Jiang Zhao. Most of the information that I have came from this building. I wanted to make a big profit, but I almost got myself into trouble. Brother, when are you going to give me some benefits as a driver? Benefits? You still want that piece of land in 326? That piece of land was not only a thorn in Qin Fian's heart, it was also a thorn in Jiang Zhao's heart. He knew that Shi Yunwu was a person who knew how to hide, but after all, he was only 20 years old. He probably inherited Shi Zhentian's ruthlessness, or else he wouldn't have been able to tolerate it so well. However, he was so good at running a business. He had only been in Sea City for less than 3 years, and even when he was working at Shi Empire, he was a slacker. It was only a few months ago that he officially joined the Qin group. Once he got in, he was already familiar with the hidden rules of China's government. He easily made connections and got that piece of land in 326 at a cheap price. After that, a series of people were fired and interrogated, but none of them dragged Shi Empire into it. They only said that there was a problem with their data when they were doing the report. When it came to data, it was possible for one person to make a mistake, but how was it possible for all of them to make a mistake? Based on his methods, it was possible that he could turn a piece of land into the king of the land. He was not to be underestimated. Qin Fian waved his hands and placed them back on the steering wheel. I'm not going to think about it anymore. The Shi family has taken it, so what else can I think about? Even if it's not the Shi family, it's a done deal, so it's pointless for me to think about it. Have I been having a bad year these past few months? Everything seems to go wrong. Ever since I took over the Qin group, I haven't been as unlucky as I have been these past few months. I don't even know what I'm asking for. People in business like to worship the Lord Guan Yu, so naturally, they were superstitious. There were many superstitions among government officials as well. Jiang Zhao thought about it and it did make sense. Fei Yan had always been a smart person. Fei Yan had mentioned that he wanted to buy that piece of land in 326 after the subway changed its route. Initially, he wanted to buy it for a cheap price to build a hotel, but then there was Shi Yunwu's conspiracy, so he was unable to buy it. The shoreline was a good place, but due to the complicated relationships between government officials and businessmen, he had to give it up. Fei Yan, why don't you go to Hong Kong and find a fortune teller? There's an 80% chance that something is wrong. Jiang Zhao paused. When the time comes, I'll go with you. I don't think things are going well for me either. Qin Fian nodded in agreement. Okay, when sister-in-law wakes up, we'll go together. After sending Jiang Zhao to the government office building, he turned around and left. As soon as Jiang Zhao arrived at the office, Lu Cheng came over and said, Boss, Dean Shen from the Procuratorate came looking for you. He's still in the lounge. I wanted to give you a call, but he said there was no need. He also said. Lu Cheng stopped and smiled. Jiang Zhao was not in the mood to joke around. Joking with Fei Yan was a different matter. It was just to comfort a family member. What else did he say? Lu Cheng shook his head and smiled helplessly. He said, since you're on time for work, if you dare to be late, he'll report you. He'll say you didn't show up or left your post without permission. When Jiang Zhao heard this, he couldn't help but laugh. I'll go invite him myself. Who knew that as soon as he said this, the office door was pushed open. Shen Kai was in a suit. When he saw Jiang Zhao, he smiled rudely and said, Invite what? I'm here to catch the party atmosphere. Yo, I'm not late? Looks like if I want to extort you, I'll have to work a bit harder. Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 577. It's rare for Shen Kai to be so carefree when he enters the mayor's office. Jiang Zhao raised his eyebrows and said to Lu Cheng, Help me pour a cup of coffee for Mr. Shen. Lu Cheng turned to Shen Kai, who had entered the office and was sitting on the sofa. Mr. Shen, do you want tea or coffee? Coffee. Your boss is too honest. That tea must be the 10 renminbi Quding tea. I don't want to drink it. Jiang Zhao smiled. Quding tea is very good. It's detoxifying. Shen Kai immediately shook his head and said, That won't do. I still have to keep the poison and fight poison with poison. Huh. Lu Cheng placed the coffee on the coffee table in front of Shen Kai and left. Shen Kai shrugged. Why did you come to work so early? It's not good to be so strict. You should give your subordinates a chance. If not, it will be too difficult for them to get promoted. You need to give this seat to them. Jiang Zhao walked to the reception area and took the cup of tea that Lu Cheng had brewed for him. He sat opposite Shen Kai and said, I will move my seat. You can go upstairs and find an empty seat for me. Ha! You can't just pull me down and let you sit up. Ha! It's hard to say. Shen Kai raised his eyebrows confidently. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smirk. He said the two words slowly. At this time, he held the coffee on the table in his hand. The tip of his nose wandered above the thick white porcelain cup. His eyelashes drooped, and his gaze fell on the white smoke curling up from the coffee. He inhaled and took a sip with enjoyment. He couldn't help but praise. Very good coffee. Where did these beans come from? If it were made by a better coffee maker, I'm afraid the taste would be even richer. After saying that, Shen Kai took another sip. Jiang Zhao knew Shen Kai was trying to change the topic. Grandpa's friend gave it to him. I don't even know who gave it to him. Grandpa doesn't drink coffee, so he gave it to us. If you like it, you can have it. I usually drink a lot of tea. Ha! That's not good. But I know you don't drink coffee. It's not like I am taking it away from you. Jiang Zhao nodded. When did you become so polite? It's not like you. I can't help it. I've been in this circle for a while and I've forgotten that I don't need to be polite with you. Haha, then I'll take all of your beans away, not leaving a single one behind. Don't tell others that I robbed you. Oh, you are getting more and more powerful. Are you still afraid of people calling you a bandit? Ha! Don't mention what happened in the past. Don't mention it. After Shen Kai finished a cup of coffee, Jiang Zhao didn't ask him why he was here. They just had a simple chat. Shen Kai asked, Are you really calm, or are you just pretending? Why? You didn't hear anything? Jiang Zhao's eyes narrowed slightly as he asked, What rumor? Shen Kai placed both his hands on his knees, his 10 fingers drumming on his knees without any rhyme or reason. Right now, Yun Shicheng's case has been brought up again and the higher-ups are paying attention to it. Furthermore, I specifically went to find out more about it and someone handed over the information. Yun Shicheng's parole for medical treatment is more or less complete and his body has already recovered. Furthermore, the government's authoritative hospital will conduct an examination on his body. Furthermore, the matters of his previous business dealings have all been dug up. In business, how many of them are pure and simple? More or less, they will interact with each other. Otherwise, how can they survive? I feel that someone wants to kill him. You really didn't hear anything about this? Jiang Zhao's eyes narrowed again. Then his brows furrowed. His originally relaxed posture became somewhat stiff. The things that appeared in his mind slowly emerged. I really didn't hear anything. You came to tell me about this, so I don't need to hide it from you. His thoughts were in a mess, but he still tried to organize them. He added, And you also know that the functions of the prosecutor's office are different from ours. On the surface, you guys are above the government, so it's normal that you know many things but I don't. What's more, this matter is related to my father-in-law. It's clear that someone is avoiding my line of sight to do this. How could I have known this information in the first place? Shen Kai nodded, but he couldn't help but joke. You say that the prosecutor's office is amazing, but aren't they still enslaved by you guys? They are restricted everywhere. Jiang Zhao said. China's characteristics are currently at this stage. You and I can't change it. We can only adapt. How far has my father-in-law's case gone? Is it convenient for you to tell me? When Jiang Zhao asked this question, he was still very cautious. The prosecutor's office was not like other agencies. Many things were classified as confidential. His political status was also here. If Shen Kai clearly wanted to help him, naturally, he didn't have to worry. What if he set him up? If he asked about some of the prosecutor's office's secrets, wouldn't he be looking for trouble for himself? You're still so guarded against people. If I didn't plan to tell you, would there be any point in coming here early in the morning and failing to extort you? Shen Kai said unhappily. I'm not being guarded. I'm just afraid that it'll be difficult for you. Shen Kai shrugged and looked like he didn't care. What's difficult about it? Everyone is mutually beneficial. There's no such thing as difficult or not. I don't think I'm a good public servant, and I don't think you are either. We're just using these resources to benefit our families. At the same time, we're also using these resources to benefit the people of High City. The biggest advantage is that we're not considered heartless officials. At the very least, we're in our positions and have done our jobs. So it's more convenient to tell you some things. You're also very easy to understand. Jiang Zhao admired Shin Kai's straightforwardness and straightforwardness. However, Shin Kai wasn't someone who was like this to everyone. He would only negotiate with you as quickly as possible when he had a clear understanding of the other party's trump card. This was because there was no need to probe too much. Shen Kai was a person who had very sharp eyes and was very efficient in doing things. Jiang Zhao asked, "Is there any way to salvage the situation?" The hospital Yi Er was in was a high-end private hospital, so the servants were sometimes a little relaxed. After all, what could happen in a place like this? Everything has a meter display. His mother was sleepy at noon, so she lay on the table by the window to sleep. Not long after, she fell asleep. The door of the ward wasn't locked from the inside. A nurse in a pink nurse's uniform lowered her head and pushed a trolley into the room. This nurse looked taller than the average nurse. Although she was thin, her frame wasn't small. Her facial features were a little stiff, and she looked a little awkward. The two-tiered trolley stopped at the head of Yi Er's bed. The nurse glanced at the four-bag. Although there was still half a bag of four fluid left, she removed the four-bag with a cold look in her eyes. She placed the remaining four-bag on a white porcelain tray in the trolley, and hung the four-bag from the other tray on the tray. After hanging the four-bag, she looked at the woman lying on the bed, whose eyelashes didn't move at all. The corners of her mouth curled up ferociously. She reached out and touched the rollers to adjust the flow to the maximum. Then, she turned around indifferently and pushed the trolley out of the ward. His father was woken up by a series of clanking sounds. When he woke up, he rubbed his eyes. "What's that sound?" Then, he heard someone vomiting. It sounded like someone was in pain. When he turned around and found the source of the sound, he was scared half to death. Yi Er's eyes were closed. Her face was covered in fine beads of sweat. She kept vomiting and convulsing. What came out of her mouth was sticky white fluid. The fluid flowed down her cheeks and chin. Her hair and neck were all wet. There was also a large wet patch on her pillow. Her body probably moved because of the movement from vomiting. The four stand beside her had fallen over. The needle on the back of her hand was bleeding. Her hand was hanging by the side of the bed. Blood dripped down. It was just a needle hole. Why was there so much blood? Was the wound strained by the needle? She quickly ran over to get a towel to clean up the vomit. As she shouted for the nurse, she took out her phone and called Jiang Zhao. When she called, she was trembling in fear. She knew that Jiang Zhao probably wanted to kill someone. Her voice trembled and sounded like she was about to cry. "Young Master Zhao, it's bad. It's bad. Young madam is in big trouble." Jiang Zhao was talking to Shen Kai when his phone rang. He looked at the number and raised his phone gently. He said to Shen Kai, "I'll take this call first." Shen Kai raised his hand and said, "It's okay. You take it first." When the call was picked up, it was the familiar voice of his mother, but she was already crying. "Young Master Zhao, it's bad. It's bad. Young madam is in big trouble. She's vomiting and convulsing." He just told Shen Kai that it was an emergency and ran out of the building. He went straight to the parking lot to get his car and rushed onto the road. As he drove, he called to ask about the situation. How long had he been gone? His hands held the steering wheel as if he was holding the neck of his mother. He always told them to be careful. How could she be so careless when she went to sleep without informing the nurse? A mother who had served the Qin family for 20 years was actually so careless. A person who was already unconscious was sent to the emergency room again. What kind of F***king life was this? Was this still a life for humans? He sucked in a long trembling breath with all his might. "Yuni, you're the F***king jinx in my life. You were born just to subdue me. Can't you just let me live in peace for a single day? Of all the people you could drug, you had to find me. Of all the people you could find to sleep with, you had to find me. I owed you in my past life. I F***king owe you." After he finished cursing, he punched the steering wheel hard. The loudspeaker raised its head to the sky and let out a long cry, expressing its owner's grief and anger. He owed her. That was why she tortured him like this. She tortured him so much that he wished he had never known her. If he had never known her, he wouldn't have to live in fear all day long. If he hadn't known her, he wouldn't have to be like this. He couldn't calm down and do anything. He was still so young. He could already see the end of his career. It was all because of her. She dragged down her family alone and almost dragged him down. But she was already about to drag him down, and he still King went to the dark side to solve a bunch of problems in her family. He owed her. That was why he was so stupid as to willingly jump into her fire pit. Now that he was burning all over, he still King refused to come out of the fire pit. He was already so miserable, but she still couldn't lie down properly. What did she want to do? She wanted to torture him until he went crazy. She would be satisfied. This D*MN woman. She would never let him have peace of mind. Zhang Zhao sniffed. He didn't care about the traffic lights. God must be joking with him. A person who only relied on nutrient solutions to stay alive was still in the emergency room? What a joke. He was already like this. Why was he still in the emergency room? He punched the steering wheel again. Just then, a pedestrian crossed the zebra crossing. Hearing the horn, he immediately retracted his foot that was about to run the red light. Zhang Zhao drove the car and rushed over the zebra crossing. He spat. Are you colorblind? You don't even look at the traffic lights? You're courting death. The car drove into the outpatient clinic building. He didn't park in the parking lot. He left it at the entrance and rushed into the building. He pressed the elevator. 4th floor. Emergency room. When the old lady saw Zhang Zhao running over, she immediately cried. She didn't have much feelings for Yi Er, but she had watched Zhang Zhao grow up. At this time, she cried out of fear and her heart ached for Zhang Zhao's appearance. He clearly looked meticulous, but no matter how you looked at him, he looked disheveled. Her tears gushed out. Young Master Zhao, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Zhang Zhao rushed to the emergency room door and asked the nurse at the door, how is it? The doctor is not out yet. He still doesn't know the situation. When he heard this, he vented all his anger on the nurse, who had been taking care of him since he was a teenager. His voice was like a fire burning in his throat. You don't know the situation? If you don't know the situation, why don't you go in and ask? Why are you still standing here? Mayor Zhang, lower your voice. The nurse was scolded by Zhang Zhao, and she could only persuade him softly. Qin Zhen and Qin Fian arrived one after another. The Qin family's old lady's status was not low, and the Qin family had always respected the servants. But Qin Zhen could not help but scold her. Xiaoli, you have been working for the Qin family for more than 20 years. How can you be so foolish? Have you forgotten your responsibilities? The old lady was in her 40s, but she looked much older than Qin Zhen. She must be very tired. I also don't know why I felt so sleepy today. I am not used to taking afternoon naps in the past. Actually, I did not do anything today. But I was so sleepy that I could not open my eyes. My head was on the table, and I wanted to sleep. Although Qin Zhen was young, she was also in her 50s. When she was stern, she would scold her. Stop looking for excuses. You caused such a big mistake, and you still want to find excuses. Qin Fian pulled the agitated Zhang Zhao back. He wanted to distract him. Over the phone, Auntie Li said that sister-in-law kept vomiting and even pulled down the four-stand. Brother, wasn't sister-in-law unconscious all this while? How can she pull down the four-stand and vomit? What's wrong with her? Zhang Zhao rubbed his face. I don't know. When he let go of Feng Yu, he stared at the nurse at the door of the emergency room. What's the reason? Even if our helpers did not notice the patient's abnormality in time, you all still don't know what's wrong with her? The nurse did not know what was going on. She was still in the emergency room, and they did not know what was going on. She explained timidly. Mayor Zhang, I don't know. It's true. I am just waiting here to inform the attending doctor or run errands to the blood bank. But from Mrs. Zhang's reaction, I feel that she should be resisting the medication. The nurse was not very experienced, and she quickly told Feng Yu what she thought. Zhang Zhao immediately turned and looked at Qin Fian. Qin Fian quickly ran to the hospital and found Yi Er's ward. There were still bags of medication on the floor. Maybe they did not have time to clean up the mess earlier. Feng Yu took the list of medication from the bookshelf at the end of the bed and compared it with the medicine bottle on the table. He repeated the same thing twice and took out his phone to take a photo of the list and the medicine bag. Returning to the resuscitation room, he told Zhang Zhao about some of the abnormalities he had discovered. Zhang Zhao raised his hand and pressed against his forehead. The door of the emergency room suddenly opened, and Zhang Zhao regained his senses. He walked over and stood in front of the doctor. The doctor was wearing latex gloves, a blue disposable cap, and a surgical mask. He asked coldly, "What's the reason?" The doctor looked at Zhang Zhao. "I'm not sure yet. I need to verify with the nurse on duty." Verification? Verification of what? Verification of the wrong medication that caused my wife to vomit. Zhang Zhao did not say anything and grabbed the doctor's scrubs and dragged him out of the operating room. Qin Fian hugged Zhang Zhao again to stop him from hitting the doctor. "Brother, now is not the time to create trouble. We need to make sure that sister-in-law is out of danger. We will not let this matter rest so easily. But now is not the time to create trouble. Keep quiet." The hospital was afraid of medical accidents, and they wanted to cover it up. But now, they could not cover it up anymore. In the end, they could only say. The patient was injected with papaverine hydrochloride, which can accelerate the dilation of blood vessels. This type of fluid is used to treat heart and brain diseases. Mrs. Zhang's prescription does not include this type of medicine. I am about to tell the nurse about this. Mayor Zhang, please let me speak. The doctor looked at the nurse at the door. Call the head nurse over. What Zhang Zhao had was brute force. Right now, he felt like he was a person who had been forcefully injected with some kind of evil force. He could not control this kind of power, and if he did not vent it out, he would go berserk and die a horrible death. But Qin Fian also used his strength to control him. Mayor Zhang, Mrs. Zhang is fine now. Although the wrong medication had caused her to vomit, luckily she was rescued in time. She might wake up because of her reaction. Zhang Zhao, who was being hugged by Qin Fian, was stunned. The evil energy in his body seemed to be controlled temporarily. He looked at the doctor and asked, "Is what you said true?" The doctor was frightened by Zhang Zhao's action just now, but he still had to maintain the calmness that a doctor should have. He just took a step back without leaving a trace. He was intimidated by Zhang Zhao's pressure and took another step back. Mayor Zhang, Mrs. Zhang had been injected with the wrong medication. This medication is used to dilate the blood vessels of patients with cardiovascular diseases. Using the wrong medication will cause the patient to reject the medication. But it was this rejection that caused the patient to have a strong reaction. This reaction might cause the patient to wake up. Just now, the patient could speak, and her limbs were moving. This means that she is no longer in a coma. Zhang Zhao was surprised when he heard what the doctor said. He was surprised that Yi Er was going to wake up. But the more he listened, the more he felt something was not right. What was wrong? The doctor seemed to be avoiding the main point. What did rejection mean? It was like a person who did not feel anything. If you gave her an electric shock, she would jump a little. Can this be considered waking her up? Zhang Zhao was angered by the way the doctor spoke. But Qin Fian did not want to let go. Qin Fian naturally wouldn't let go. There was already a doctor inside who was being treated. If they fought at this time and hurt a doctor, it would be troublesome. But when he turned his head, he saw Qin Zhen holding her hand and looking at them with a cold face. She didn't say a word and didn't have any intention of persuading them. Qin Fian was puzzled. Was he being a busybody? Looking at his aunt's expression, she was letting Zhang Zhao to fight. Or was his aunt confident that he could handle this situation? She was like a mother who did not do anything for her son. This was her biological son. Her biological son was about to go crazy. How could she calmly stand aside and watch the show? Qin Zhen met Qin Fian's eyes, raised her chin, and pouted. Let go. His aunt actually told him to let go. After releasing her, she immediately dodged to Qin Zhen's side. Without turning around, she heard the sound of a fist hitting someone's stomach from behind. She pretended not to see anything. The young nurse went to inform the head nurse. Other than the few of them, there was no one else in the corridor. Aunt, what do you mean by this? Qin Zhen sighed and glanced at her son who was hitting someone. She looked calmly at Qin Fian and said softly, Fian, you have to find a chance to let your brother vent. He is too repressed. At this time, his stomach is full of anger and dissatisfaction. If you don't let him vent, he will get sick. I, Qin Zhen, won't say a word about it. But if Zhao Zhao wants to hit someone for no reason, I will definitely ask you to stop it. As you can see, it was caused by the hospital. It's not entirely our fault. He is now an ordinary patient's family member. His emotions should be as they are now, and he shouldn't be like how he was in the past, showing everything to others. Just now, I didn't say anything and didn't care about anything. I just wanted him to find a chance to vent. He is like a human now, don't you think? Sometimes, I feel that he has chosen the wrong path to enter politics. How can anyone be as glamorous as him, to the point where no one can find any fault with him? Qin Fian only listened to the suppressed wailing behind him. He nodded and said guiltily, I should have thought of it. Qin Zhen took another look at the scene of Zhang Zhao hitting someone. She simply turned her back and chose to be parallel to Qin Fian. Looking at the other end of the corridor, she sniffed and said, I have been feeling very uncomfortable these days. Zhao Zhao wants to stay here. I can't say anything. He has to pretend that nothing happened to him to appease his family members, especially Yun Hongwei and Si Jia. Yun Hongwei actually knows about Zhao Zhao's difficulties, so no matter how much pain he is in, he tries not to show it in front of Zhao Zhao. They are all crazy, they are all pretending. They even have to tell each other that it is okay. I saw it the most clearly. Yun Hongwei patted Zhao Zhao's shoulder several times and told him not to worry. Whenever he turned around, he would secretly wipe away his tears. He also has to make up lies to deceive Si Jia every day. I want to find a chance for them to vent. Zhao Zhao is venting today. When he comes out, I'm afraid Yun Hongwei has already suffered internal injuries. Qin Fian stretched out his arm and put it on Qin Zhen's shoulder. He was still a little worried. Aunt, we don't care about losing money, but it won't kill anyone, right? After all, I can't control my rationality now. I don't know what's important. Unexpectedly, Qin Zhen said heartlessly, so this is the key moment to show that we are brothers. Whether or not someone dies is in your hands. Zhao Zhao is not rational, but you are. Qin Fian loosened his hand on Qin Zhen's arm. F***CK. Aunt. Qin Zhen slowly opened her handbag and took out a piece of tissue to wipe the tears from the corner of her eyes. She was very calm. Don't rely on me. When did you start to swear? Don't you know that you can't use these second-rate words in front of your elders? I will take Xiao Li to stand there for a while. You watch over him. Qin Fian took off his glasses from his face. He really wanted to smash them. How could there be an aunt like Qin Zhen in this world? How could there be a mother like Yu Jing? His calmness disappeared. He hurriedly turned around and ran to pull Zhang Zhao away, forbidding him from using violence against the doctor. Qin Fian felt that he was screwed miserably by Qin Zhen today. In the end, if something happened to Zhang Zhao, it would definitely be his fault as a brother for not knowing his limits. As an elder brother, his impulsiveness covered his rationality. As a younger brother, he should be clear-headed, right? As a brother, he didn't come out to help at this time. What was this? Well, in the end it was all his fault. The moral integrity of the people in the high-end private hospital was so high. When they heard that someone was fighting and crying out in pain, no one came out to help. They really respected people's privacy. However, who asked this doctor to hold back and not dare to cry out loudly? He was so angry. He had to hurry to Hong Kong and find a fortune teller. Otherwise, he didn't know how long his bad luck would last this year. After pulling Zhang Zhao back, Qin Fian could only deal with the aftermath like an old mother. He pressed the emergency bell on the wall and waited for the nurse to come and pull the injured doctor away. Zhang Zhao shook his fist. Qin Fian asked, Have you had your fun? No, Zhang Zhao said. Then I'll spa with you tonight? Zhang Zhao rolled his eyes at Qin Fian. Sure, if I hurt you, Beauty, you will definitely take a private plane back to take revenge for you. Then, she won't let me fight back. She said something about elders not being allowed to return their hands, right? What are you scheming, kid? Haha, so, let's go to the arena tonight to compete. I'm as free as you. Zhang Zhao's tone was unpleasant. Qin Fian could only give up. Forget it, he couldn't tease this guy. Actually, this fight didn't last long because the young nurse found the head nurse and brought him to the emergency room for only 3 minutes. When Qin Fian helped Zhang Zhao sit on the bench, the head nurse trotted over. Qin Fian and his mother were still standing far away. He thought to himself that he wouldn't fall for it this time. If the head nurse came over and Zhang Zhao blamed the head nurse for the medicinal liquid incident, it would be troublesome. How many punches could a woman take from Zhang Zhao? He should have known long ago that this aunt had always been a black-bellied person. She said such sad and tear-jerking words, but in the end, she even acted as a good person. The responsibility was all on him, Qin Fian. He didn't know if there was anyone in the Qin family who was truly pure, except for Fei Yu. The purest Fei Yu wouldn't be like these guys. The head nurse helped the doctor stand up. She looked at Zhang Zhao's action of shaking his hand and thought about what the young nurse had said to her along the way. She immediately understood. As soon as Zhang Zhao stood up, Qin Fian immediately put his arm around his shoulder like a brother, in case Zhang Zhao really hit the head nurse. Soon, someone came over to help the injured doctor away. The doctor refused to admit that he had been hit by Zhang Zhao. Qin Fian let out a sigh of relief. It was good that the doctor knew his place. Otherwise, although it would be more troublesome to deal with later, the doctor wouldn't be able to say anything good. When Xia Qian and Qiu Xiaoya arrived, Zhang Zhao was coldly questioning the head nurse with a dark expression. How did you manage the distribution of the medicinal liquid? How could my wife's bag be wrong? Zhang Zhao's voice grew louder as he spoke. You're holding a fresh life in your hands. Don't you know that you're disregarding human life by simply giving it to the patient? My wife was already unconscious, and all of you gave her the medicinal liquid meant for people with cardiovascular problems. What's wrong with that? She was so agitated that she vomited, and her blood was flowing rapidly. Is this considered as having a reaction? All of you are trying to kill her. Mayor Zhang, please calm down. We will definitely find a solution. Furthermore, this matter has not been investigated thoroughly, and it's not right for you to jump to conclusions. The patient's condition is not good, and anything can happen. We are a hospital, and our job is to save lives. But we cannot guarantee that everyone who enters the hospital will be discharged safely. But our hospital will do a report and give you a satisfactory answer. The head nurse was a little self-righteous. She also used the official tone that a hospital should have. She could have used a softer tone, but her tone and choice of words were clearly a little sharp. Besides, she also had relatives in the municipal party committee. What was she afraid of? Qin Fian held on to Zhang Zhao, whose veins were twitching. But he did not hold back Qiu Xiaoya, who had just walked over from behind. A slap landed on the head nurse's face. The head nurse immediately covered her face. This was a private hospital, and anything could happen. But this woman in front of her had slapped her, and she did not dare to slap her back. Qiu Xiaoya was wearing a pair of 8-inch high heels, a short black silk skirt in winter, and a coat over it. Her fashionable black satin short hair was tucked behind her ears, revealing a charming face. Her expression was cold as she crossed her arms in front of her chest and snorted. What did you say? Who are you saying is jumping to conclusions? Even I, who had just arrived, know what happened, and you are still saying that this matter is not clear? Tell me, what should I do to make this matter clear? You said that the patient's condition is not good, so anything can happen to her? Is it normal for her to vomit after receiving the wrong medicine? Attention, Song Shu 566. Chapter 578. Xia Qian, come here. Tell the head nurse what she said just now. Which of those words are wrong? Which ones are not pleasant to hear? Xiaoya looked at the head nurse. Don't glare at me like that. Don't try to reason with me. I don't want to reason with you right now. If you have the guts, try and slap me back. Xiaoya didn't know why she was so angry today. Perhaps she really hoped that the head nurse would be proud enough to slap her back. She really wanted to know if that person would rush out to avenge her if she was slapped outside. Sigh, what was she thinking? Qin Fian was stunned. Women were indeed impressive. Well, it was true that he couldn't let Zhang Zhao do this. Qiu Xiaoya didn't have much strength. At most, she would only leave a few fingerprints. He then looked at Xia Qian, who was standing behind Xiao Ya. He suddenly thought of stinky tofu and wanted to vomit. Jiang Zhao's emotions also calmed down a little. Qin Zhan, who was watching from a distance, said to the old lady, "What a fierce girl. She's quite likable." Xia Qian, who was dressed casually, walked over to the head nurse with her phone in hand. Compared to Xiao Ya's arrogance, Xia Qian appeared calm and cultured. She smiled, but she didn't want to smile at all. She couldn't smile. Just now, she happily ran to the ward to look for Yi Er, only to find the room in a mess. Ever since Yi Er's accident, she and her sister came over almost every day to check on Yi Er's condition. Although she hadn't changed for the better, at least she hadn't changed for the worse. Yi Er had told her that she used to be very good at dancing and had won a few awards. Although they had never seen Yi Er dance properly after they started hanging out, she still believed that she had the talent. So every time she came over, she would bring her some songs to listen to. However, she was afraid that Jiang Zhao would say that she was meddlesome, so she always chased Jiang Zhao out of the ward. When she was alone with Yi Er, she would put her MP3 earphones into Yi Er's ears and put one in herself. At this time, she could fully display her ability as a host. She would listen to the music while telling Yi Er a story. At which part of the music, Liang Shanbo discovered Zhu Yingtai's secret. At which part, Liang Shanbo died. When did he turn into a butterfly? She always felt that she had the ability to help Yi Er wake up faster. Yi Er was a lonely person. She knew that Yi Er needed friends. She had always known that Jiang Zhao did not like her in the past, but Yi Er would always protect her image in front of Jiang Zhao. Perhaps this was what friends were like. Yi Er was kidnapped and injured. Although the people outside didn't know, she still knew. As Yi Er's friend, she hoped that Yi Er would get better soon. During this period of time, she came over almost every day, but the person lying on the bed was gone. When she asked the nurse, she was told that the patient had been sent to the emergency room for a while. She was anxious and angry. She did not believe it at first. How could it be? A person who slept like a pig was sent to the emergency room. She felt that if her thoughts continued to drift, she would be so angry that she would hit someone like her sister. That wasn't very good. Hitting someone was wrong. Since someone had become the bad guy, she could only step out and be the good guy. She suddenly felt that she was very smart at critical moments. She wasn't stupid at all. She looked at the head nurse and smiled politely. "I'm sorry. My phone was recording just now. You said that you did not investigate this matter clearly. But from what we heard from Mayor Jiang, we know that your hospital had used the 4 solution for the cardiovascular patient as a nutrient solution for the unconscious Mrs. Jiang. This is the truth. If you say that this is not the truth, then Mayor Jiang is slandering your hospital. What do you think? Is Mayor Jiang telling the truth or slandering your hospital?" The head nurse was stunned. She did not dare to say anything. This was a recording. Who were these people? She knew Xiaoya. She was a famous fashion designer. These few years, she was very arrogant in High City. No one knew who was backing her. But who was this Xia Qian? If she admitted that this was the truth, it would mean that there was a medical malpractice in the hospital. But if she denied, it would be slandering Mayor Jiang. The head nurse felt that she was in a difficult position. You can't just listen to one side of the story. Xia Qian continued. You think that Mayor Jiang is only telling one side of the story? Are you saying that he is slandering you? He is now a patient's family member. No matter if he is questioning you, you should not reply to him with that attitude. Don't say that his wife is in trouble. Mrs. Jiang is also our friend. When she heard your explanation, she was also furious. My sister said that what you said is not right and not nice to hear. From my point of view, what you said is not right and not nice to hear. The head nurse was not afraid of Jiang Zhao earlier because she felt that she had relatives in the municipal party committee, and Jiang Zhao would not dare to do anything rash. But now, these 2 girls were making her speechless. She did not know how to answer them. If she did not answer them, it would mean that she was admitting to it. No, she cannot stay here any longer. She needs to find someone who has the right to speak. She cannot bear the responsibility of spouting nonsense. The door of the emergency room was opened again. The soundproofing inside was very good. Those who wanted to go in had to ring the bell. This way, the doctors could focus on saving the patient. Those who came out did not know what had happened outside. When the person saw Jiang Zhao, he pulled down his mask. It was the deputy director of the hospital. He said politely, "Mayor Jiang, you are here. Mrs. Jiang's condition is good now. She has regained consciousness. But because she was given the wrong medicine, we still need to observe her for a while. I have to find out the truth about this matter." He looked at the head nurse who had finger marks on her face and frowned. "The head nurse is here. Call the nurse who was on duty to give Mrs. Jiang the 4-drip to the office." Jiang Zhao walked over and did not pursue the matter of the medicine. He asked the deputy director, "She's awake? Is it similar to the final radiance of the setting sun?" When Xia Qian heard this, her heart skipped a beat. She looked at Xiaoya in panic. Xiaoya pulled her hand. "Don't worry. Xia Qian's friend must be a cat with 9 lives. Sister, you should speak more pleasantly during this period of time." Xiaofan followed beside Jiang Zhao, who was thinking too much. He asked the deputy director, "When will the situation be stable?" "We will send the patient back to the ward later. You can go and prepare some porridge for the patient. She can drink it today." Jiang Zhao was happy. He could not help but laugh foolishly. Finally, Yi Er could drink porridge. There were no other wards on this floor. It was very quiet. Sometimes, it was so quiet that there were echoes. Qin Zhan heard it clearly and immediately pushed her mother. "Shaoli, hurry up and go back to prepare. Hurry up and make up for your mistake." Her mother ran away quickly. As she ran, she said excitedly, I know. The deputy director retreated again and closed the door of the emergency room. Jiang Zhao looked at Xiaoya and said gently, "Xiaoya, why are you here so early today?" Xiaoya smiled. "Luo Qian. She insisted that she heard a very good piece of music and that she could dance a very elegant tango dance. She said that Yi Er likes to dance. Every time she comes over, she would play some music for Yi Er. It's good for Yi Er's recovery." The music she played before was relatively light. She had never tried the tango dance before. Maybe Yi Er would not be able to help but kick her feet when she heard it. She thought that since she had to come over every day, she might as well come earlier today. Who knew she would run into this? Jiang Zhao's heart ached. He reached out and patted Xia Qian's shoulder. Qian, you're so considerate." Xia Qian shrank back. She scratched her head. "Jiang Zhao, don't be like this. The way you talk to me these days is so nice that it makes my hair stand on end." "Do you have masochistic tendencies?" Qin Fian could not help but spit. His beautiful phoenix eyes looked at Xia Qian with disdain. "You feel uncomfortable just because I'm nice to you." Xia Qian sighed. If it were not for the fact that the current atmosphere was not suitable for a fight, she would have kicked Qin Feifeng. Forget it, she would not kick him. He was so beautiful. If she kicked him, it would make it seem like he did not know how to be gentle with women. Xia Qian shamelessly walked over to Qin Fian. She knew that Qin Fian was afraid of being touched by women. At least, every time she touched him, his whole body would tense up and he would be abnormally vigilant. However, the more vigilant he was, the more excited she became. With this thought, she took the opportunity to fall into his arms. She reached out and hooked her arms around Qin Fian's neck. In a coquettish voice she said, "Then be nicer to me. If you're nicer to me, maybe I won't be so creepy. I'll be flattered." Qin Fian suddenly pulled Xia Qian's hand away and took a step back. "You pervert, stay away from me." Xia Qian stumbled and almost fell to the ground. Xiaoya hurriedly ran over in her high heels to support Xia Qian. She glared at Qin Fian. "Are you a man? You bully our Qian all the time. What's wrong with leaning on you? Are you made of gold? Can't I touch you?" After scolding him, she snorted. "You're so annoying." She first scolded Qin Fian, then scolded Xia Qian in a low voice. "You can tell me what kind of man you like. At most, you'll have to spend money. I'll treat you like a master. Do you have to suffer like this? What kind of man can't you touch? Why must you touch someone like this?" The words, "Why must you touch someone like this?" were clearly hinting at something. They were full of sarcasm and contempt. Qin Fian wanted to stomp his feet, but he glanced at Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao shook his head, indicating that he shouldn't quarrel with Xiao Ya. Zhang Zhao didn't realize that ever since Xiao Ya and Xia Qian arrived, he had unknowingly relaxed a lot. The door to the emergency room opened for the third time. This time, the bed was pushed out. He didn't notice that there were a few doctors and nurses. He just walked over, held the side of the bed, and touched the woman's face. He watched her mouth open and close. When he heard what she said, he burst into laughter. He reached out and pinched the tip of the woman's nose. "Are you a pig? The doctor said you can only drink rice soup. I want to eat meat. I vomited so much just now." Zhang Zhao didn't expect Yi Er to mumble this over and over again. Although he was a little disappointed that the first thing she asked about when she woke up was not him, he was relieved that she wanted to eat. It was good that she woke up. At least she could tell him what she was thinking. "Are you a pig? The doctor said you can only drink rice soup. Come and see." Hong Cha 866. Chapter 579. After Qin Zhen asked her mother to go back to get the rice soup, she quickly walked over to Zhang Zhao. She wanted to check on Yi Er's condition, but when she saw that Zhang Zhao had completely forgotten himself, she immediately dismissed the idea of interfering. Instead, she grabbed Qin Fian's hand. Qin Fian had been following Zhang Zhao the whole time. Now that he was pulled, he snapped back to reality. Seeing that Qin Zhen was pulling him, Qin Fian took a step back. "Auntie, what's wrong?" Qin Zhen looked at her son and turned around. "Fian, later on, go and deal with the matter of today's medicine. While you're at it, send Yi Er's friend off. Yi Er has woken up, but let Zhang Zhao be alone with her for a while. I really can't bear to disturb him." Qin Fian was in a difficult position. Wasn't Auntie chasing away the visiting guests? But, although he didn't like Xia Qian, she was still Yi Er's friend. She had genuinely come to visit, and even his brother had expressed his gratitude. They can understand. Now it seems that Yi Er has something to say. Let the two of them talk. The rest of US should stay away. You know that I've always been very open-minded. After Qin Zhen finished speaking, she smiled warmly at Xiao Ya. Xiao Ya immediately understood. "Then Auntie, please help us tell Zhang Zhao that we'll come over tomorrow." Qin Zhen's smile widened. "Thank you for your understanding," Xiao Ya said. It's fine. However, Xia Qian lowered her head unhappily. How could these rich people be like this? None of them were as good as Yi Er. She had come to visit Yi Er out of goodwill, but she wasn't allowed to go to the ward. Today, she had even specially brought along some good songs. Qin Fian said to Qin Zhen, "Since that's the case, you can go with me and leave later." Qin Fian, Xia Qian, and Xiao Ya followed them all the way to the elevator. They watched as Qin Zhen and Zhang Zhao pushed the hospital bed into the elevator and waved at them. When the elevator doors closed, Qin Fian said to Xiao Ya, "Miss Chiu, I'm really sorry. My aunt didn't mean any harm." Xiao Ya waved her hand. "President Qin, you don't have to be so polite. Auntie's heart aches for Zhang Zhao. Yi Er has just woken up, so we really shouldn't disturb her. There are some things that are inconvenient for people to say when we're around." She didn't mean to be polite at all. She really did think so. Looking at Zhang Zhao, he knew that they had endless things to talk about. Qin Fian clenched his fists. "Don't call me President Qin. Just call me Fian." That man with the surname Qin really suffered a loss as a boss. Once he called him that, he became an affectionate person. "Haha, okay, Xiao Ya replied. "Sis, are we really leaving? Yi Er hasn't even listened to the song that I brought." Xia Qian was still a little unwilling. She didn't hear what Qin Fian said at all. She only thought that her thoughts hadn't been verified yet and was very conflicted. "You child, don't you know what it means to be a third wheel?" Xiao Ya reached out and poked Xia Qian's forehead. Zhang Zhao's mother was already so old, yet she understood this principle. She even knew to send people away so that her son's hurt heart could be comforted. How could this young woman be so ignorant? Was she going backward the more she learned? Xia Qian lowered her head and rubbed the part of her head that Xiao Ya had poked. "I know. Let's go. Yi Er is now being forced to choose the opposite sex over her humanity. I don't blame her. If Yi Er was awake, She definitely wouldn't do this. Even if she hid from Jiang Zhao, she would still hang out with them. Yi Er was very loyal. Humph. If you're good friends, you have to give them some space to be alone. Why are you blaming her? Really? Xiaoya reached out and pressed the elevator button. While waiting for the elevator, she said to Qin Fian with fake politeness, "Young Master Fian, you can go do your own things. Xia Qian and I will leave first." After all, the few times they met, they got along with each other with some hostility. She couldn't just ignore it because of a little reason. The fake politeness was also because Qin Fian expressed his goodwill first. She wouldn't call him Fian so intimately. Who asked this man to be so unfriendly to her sister every time? "My aunt asked me to send you guys off," Qin Fian said. "There's no need. We drove." Qin Fian wanted to sneeze, but felt that it was very impolite. He took out a handkerchief from his trouser pocket. It was an exquisite English checkered handkerchief. He put it on his nose and elegantly rubbed his itchy nose. When he felt that it wasn't so itchy anymore, he put the handkerchief back into his trouser pocket and said to Xiaoya, "Then I'm sorry." He didn't have any intention to continue being polite. It was as if he was just going with the flow. Xia Qian frowned in disdain. Hypocrite. How fake was this guy to say something like that? It was just like attending a wedding. At a wedding, you send a red packet and the other party will reject it. You don't need it. You can just come. But the strength of the push was like Tai Chi. If they don't want it, then don't put the red packet into the bride and groom's pocket. If they accept it, then accept it. Why did he have to fake politeness? "Oh, you really want me to send you off?" Qin Fian put his hands in his trouser pockets and raised his eyebrows. His devilish face bloomed with a charming smile. At this moment, the elevator came up. He let the woman enter the elevator first and followed in. He reached out and pressed the 1 button. The wall in the elevator was as bright as a mirror. He looked at Xia Qian's reflection in the mirror and said with a smile, "I didn't expect you to really want me to send you off. But you already said that you don't want me to send you off." "Xia Qian, don't you think so?" Xia Qian shrugged and deliberately raised her chin to show off her assets. She shook her beautiful hair and looked at the man in the mirror with an arrogant smile. "You think too much. Although you changed your mind and wanted to send me off, I have a car. So I don't need you. You should drive your car to the various nightclubs and wait for the fierce attacks. Those are more valuable." Xia Qian felt that in front of a rich young master like Qin Fian, it was very important that she didn't have a car. She had to say it out loud. His car was a car with 4 wheels. Her car was also a car with 4 wheels. There wasn't much difference between them. Don't think that young master is so great just because he comes from a rich family. She didn't believe that his 4 wheels could be used as a rocket. "Little guy." Xiaoya chuckled. She never stopped Xia Qian from causing trouble outside because Xia Qian wouldn't cause too much trouble. She was the elder sister. An elder sister's role was to protect her younger sister. She was to protect her younger sister at all times. She even indulged and spoiled her younger sister. Xiaoya had always been doing this. It was just that Xia Qian was very sensible and hadn't caused any trouble that she couldn't clean up. Qin Fian reached out and rubbed his eyebrows. This woman, if she wanted to ridicule him, she couldn't come up with something new. He didn't even want to talk nonsense with this kind of woman. She wasn't even as cute as the beauties in his company. He raised his wrist and turned it, revealing a pure gold watch band. He tilted his wrist inwards so that the surface was facing him. The people around him could see the sparkling diamond. Qin Fian looked at the time. The elevator had just reached the 1st floor. He said, "Miss and Miss, goodbye." Then he strode out. Xia Qian looked at Qin Fian's tall back and rolled her eyes. She said to Xiaoya, "Sis, look at him. I've never seen such an arrogant gay." "So what if he's gay?" "Haha, shouldn't he be arrogant? Have you ever seen a rich young master wearing a fake watch? Shouldn't a rich young master who dares to wear a fake watch everywhere be arrogant? I don't think there's any young master in Haiqing who dares to wear a fake watch so confidently like him." Xiaoya couldn't help but look at Qin Fian's back and sigh. He clearly looks like a bottom, but look at the way he walks. He's not bashful at all. He's confident and at ease. His steps are powerful and steady. He's clearly a top. I feel like I'm falling apart when I look at him like a bottom. Xiaoya hooked her arm around Xia Qian's arm and lifted the collar of her coat. They were about to leave the hospital and there was some wind blowing in. She had to hurry to the car and turn on the air conditioner. Clothes were supposed to be beautiful and moving. If she stood in the wind for too long in the winter, she would probably only be beautiful and cold. Top or bottom? This was Xia Qian's favorite topic. She even felt that this was a topic with great academic research value. She really wanted to do an in-depth research on this topic for Qin Fian. Yeah, I think he's a top too. He's really muscular and has a great figure. She felt that her conversation had deviated a little. The topic just now was clearly more explosive. A fake watch. She turned her face in shock and looked at Xiaoya as if she had seen an alien. That's impossible. Why would a member of the Qin family wear a fake watch? He wouldn't wear a fake watch even if it cost 10 million yuan, let alone hundreds of thousands or millions of yuan. This is too embarrassing. Xia Qian was indeed very stupid most of the time, so her thoughts immediately rose to another level and reached an absolute height. She frowned and sighed. What does it mean for a rich young master from such a big family to wear a fake watch? Does it mean that a bottom like Qin Fian is a bottom who knows how to live a good life? They're both watches, but in this bottom's eyes, it's just looking at the time. No matter how expensive a watch is, it can't be used for 25 hours a day. Since it can't use the extra time, it's no different from an ordinary computer monitor or phone. So, after much consideration, Qin Fian chose a fake watch. Not only does it give him face outside, but it's also economical. The money he saves can be given to Mr. Daizong to spend. Isn't it the best of both worlds? After Xiaoya heard this, she bent her leg and kicked Xia Qian's but in an unladylike manner. Why are you so stupid? Since when did Qin Fian become synonymous with knowing how to live a good life? Would a man who knows how to live a good life use a handkerchief that costs a few thousand yuan? Xia Qian suddenly remembered the checkered handkerchief she took from Qin Fian's pocket. It was folded neatly, just like the clothes he wore. It was beautiful, neat, and clean. A handkerchief cost a few thousand yuan? God! Was his brain kicked by a donkey? It was just wiping his nose and saliva. She could ask her sister to make 100 handkerchiefs for him. It would only cost a few thousand yuan. It was too extravagant. However, if her sister could say that it was a handkerchief worth a few thousand yuan, then it must be one. She stopped in her tracks and looked at Xiaoya, who was so cold that she was about to sneeze. Isn't the handkerchief fake? Could it be that Qin Fian's outfit was fake in order to confuse the public? Nonsense, the handkerchief is real. I make clothes. Can't I tell if it's real or fake? But the handkerchief only costs a few thousand yuan. His watch costs a few million yuan. Xiaoya said, but a fake handkerchief only costs a few dozen yuan, and a fake watch costs more than 50,000 yuan. Didn't you calculate the ratio? If he really knows how to live a good life, wouldn't he be wearing a fake from head to toe? His suit costs more than 100,000 yuan, and his leather shoes are purely handmade in Italy. They cost tens of thousands. Why is he wearing a fake watch? Even a layman like me can tell after looking at it a few times. How can people in his circle not be able to tell? Sister, you're not lying to me, right? You really can tell? I really can't tell. Let alone a fake watch that costs more than 50,000 yuan. Even if it's made into 5,000 yuan, I can't tell. What's the difference? At Song Shu 566. Chapter 580. Of course, Xiaoya wouldn't tell her that the watch was a limited edition. It was an old model from more than 10 years ago. Mechanical watches wouldn't depreciate. Zhuang Yichen liked it so much that he paid a lot of money for it. If Zhuang Yichen's watch was real, then Qin Fian's watch must be fake. However, Zhuang Yichen and Qin Fian were close friends. Wasn't it embarrassing for Qin Fian to wear a fake watch in public? Your sister works in the fashion industry. Of course, I have sharp eyes and quick senses. I can tell if it's real or fake at a glance. Xia Qian coughed awkwardly. She discreetly lifted the Louis Vuitton handbag to her side and slowly walked towards the parking lot with Xiaoya. However, her fingers were sweating profusely from holding the handbag. Xiaoya didn't notice Xia Qian's small movements. She let go of Xia Qian's arm and walked towards her car. You can drive your lousy car away. I don't want to go the same way as you. Humph. She gave her 200,000 yuan to buy a 20,000 yuan second-hand car. How embarrassing. Xiaoya suddenly remembered that Zhuang Yichen had also given her 5 million yuan to buy a car. In the end, she bought a 200,000 yuan car with an automatic transmission. She finally understood why Zhuang Yichen didn't give her any money after that. Now, she didn't want to give Xia Qian any money either. She was a F***king scammer. Not only was she a fool, but she was also a scammer. This time, Xia Qian didn't say anything about sisters sharing weal and woe. Instead, she quickly ran to her second-hand Geely. The remote control car lock had already beeped twice. She inserted the key into the keyhole on the door handle and turned it. Xiaoya chuckled. Are you possessed by a ghost today? Xia Qian quickly said, It's too cold. Let's go back quickly. Yi Er's mother-in-law won't let us visit her. Let's go back quickly. After saying that, she quickly got into the car, threw the LV bag in her hand into the passenger seat like a hot potato, started the car, and immediately fled. Yi Er closed his eyes and muttered softly. He wanted to eat some meat, but his heart was too uncomfortable. Jiang Zhao repeatedly asked the doctor if he could eat some meat, even if it was just meat soup. The doctor looked at the patient who had his eyes closed and said from time to time, I want to eat meat. My heart is repulsive. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. Mayor Jiang, Mrs. Jiang had just woken up, and it is not suitable for her to eat meat. Even if it is meat soup, there are many ingredients in it that cannot be easily absorbed. After all, the patient had been on 4 drips for a long time. It is best for her to drink rice soup first. Then, slowly add some nutritious things. Jiang Zhao felt that the doctor was being unreasonable. Yi Er only wanted to drink some soup. It's not like she really wants to eat meat. That's too unreasonable. Then don't give her thick soup. Stewing some clear soup should be fine, right? Actually, Yi Er wanted to eat meat, but he took the initiative to choose a compromise. Mayor Jiang, I think you also do not want to let Mrs. Jiang take any more risks. We are very sorry about the wrong 4 drips, and we will not shirk our responsibilities. Although Mrs. Jiang has woken up, she is still under observation. No one can guarantee that there will not be any complications. The doctor said again. Jiang Zhao felt that he was being threatened. He was using his wife's life to threaten him. He endured it. Although he was overjoyed, he did not forget to be rational. He had to keep an eye on Yi Er's condition. The doctor had told him that Yi Er was fine. It had not been long, and the 4 drips had already started. But he was not present at that time, and he did not know how long it took. Qin Fian went to the parking lot, sat in his car, picked up the ultra-thin laptop from the passenger seat, turned it on, and imported the photos he took from his phone into the computer. He felt that he was more rational than Jiang Zhao at this time, at least when everything had calmed down. Suddenly, he thought of something and called Jiang Zhao. Brother, the infusion equipment, whether it's the shelf or the tube, can't be moved. Put it in its original position. I think it's better to consider things more carefully. At least let Zhuahao take it back and compare his fingerprints. I suspect that this matter is not a simple medical accident. It's common for hospitals outside to give the wrong infusion, but this is a private hospital. Every room has a special nurse, and the medicine is almost 1-to-1. Sister-in-law is the only one staying in our room, so there's no such thing as taking the wrong medicine. Even if the order is wrong, we still have to say it. But this is not a wrong order. There's no medicine at all. Brother, have you ever thought that this matter might be related to sister-in-law's car accident? Do you think it is related to Yi Er's accident? He had thought of these questions when he came out of the elevator. At this time, he looked at the photos on the laptop and repeated his thoughts to Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao suddenly had an idea. The phone was still by his ear. He asked the deputy director, "Where are the bags of 4 drips in the room just now?" "I just asked someone to clean them up." "Who said they could be cleaned up?" The deputy director could not tell Jiang Zhao that it was for the sake of cleaning the environment. He could only tell the nurse immediately, "Hurry up and ask the cleaner not to dump them into the trash can. They should have just left." Jiang Zhao added, "Don't mess it up. Wear gloves." The hospital director looked at Jiang Zhao's expression. There were many accidents in the hospital, and it was possible that it was an accident. He became nervous and immediately said to the nurse, "Hurry up and bring the gloves over. Be careful. Just let Xiao Mian touch it." After listening to the deputy director's instructions, Jiang Zhao was temporarily relieved. He said to the phone again, "Fian, give Zhuahao a call. Tell him the details and ask him to hurry up and deal with this matter." Qin Fian enlarged the photo and said, "Brother, you've been in the government for a long time, so you know more cases than me. I'll analyze it for you now." From the photo, the flow of the rollers was turned to the maximum. Normal nurses and caregivers would not do this. Moreover, sister-in-law has been in a coma for a long time. I remember that you've always adjusted her flow to a very low level. The nurses in this hospital are very considerate. At least most of them are very responsible. Even a man like me noticed it. How could they not notice this? Even if they didn't notice it, I'm sure you must have told the nurses and caregivers. Jiang Zhao sat by the bed. He held Yi Er's hand with one hand and gently massaged the needle mark on the back of her hand. He looked up at the deputy director and said, "If it's about done here, you can leave first." The deputy director led the doctors and nurses out of the ward. Jiang Zhao heard the sound of the door closing. "Fian, your analysis is very correct. I have to tell the nurses almost every day not to turn the flow too high. She hasn't exercised and her blood circulation is slow. The nurses and caregivers who take care of Yun Yi all know this." At this point, his handsome brows suddenly furrowed. He asked in a low voice, "Who do you think has the most enmity with me all these years?" Qin Fian turned off the computer and threw it back to the passenger seat. He got out of the car and walked towards the office building. He had to ask about the medicine. This was something his aunt had arranged. As he walked, he said, "I'm afraid you have countless enemies. But brother, why are you so sure that it's your enemy and not sister-in-law's?" "Her." Jiang Zhao laughed self-deprecatingly. "It's not that I'm looking down on her. If she had enemies, they would have been dealt with when her father was in prison. Why wait until she has such a big backer like me to come and find trouble with her? Isn't finding trouble with her the same as finding trouble with me? Would anyone be so stupid? But brother, if she has a grudge with you, is there a need to kill sister-in-law time and time again? She could just go and dig up your gray matter and get you out of office." "What do you mean?" Qin Fian stopped in his tracks. He was a little hesitant. He looked up at the gray winter sky. His beautiful phoenix eyes seemed to see the sun through the fog. He narrowed his eyes and sighed. "Brother, don't be angry. I think Sister Yan has always been brooding about your marriage. She won't." Jiang Zhao shook his head. His head really hurt. "Fian, contact Zhuahao about this first. I'll go and see your sister-in-law first. If there's anything, I'll call you." Chapter 581. Looking at the traffic in front of her, she thought of Jiang Zhao's nervousness and uneasiness for Yi Er every day. Suddenly, she felt that women still had to find a man to marry. Being a pure person wasn't something that could last forever. She didn't know what kind of relationship she had with Zhuang Yichen was. They had never watched a movie together, and the number of times they had eaten together could be counted with one hand. When they were together, other than lying on top of each other and hugging each other to sleep, they didn't have much interaction. Actually, they weren't pure people. They were just bed partners who slept together from time to time. Kang Yiyun was back. She felt that she could finally have her own love. She was still young and could still burn for the love that she treasured. That dry and empty heart would be nourished and filled. However, Zhuang Yichen was like a ghost that wouldn't go away. You said that he would come to destroy her, but he didn't. You said that he wouldn't destroy her, but he would always appear without any warning. Zhuang Yichen was really ruthless. He knew her too well. In these 4 years, she couldn't see through him, but he could always see through her. After he said those words last time, he directly touched her sore spot. She realized that she really didn't have the face to face Kang Yiyun. How should she face him? How should she talk about her past? She relied on sleeping with a powerful man for almost 4 years to get to where she was today? She couldn't say it. That kind of inferiority had always been there. Every time she was in front of Kang Yiyun, she felt inferior. In the past, it was because of the difference in their family background. But now, It was because she was no longer the Xiao Ya of the past. Her thoughts were no longer pure. When did she learn to scheme? Why was she willing to choose the shortcut to success? From the moment Kang Yiyun left her, it was after Kang Yiyun left her that gave her a blow. From then on, she told herself that she had to stand high, so high that he could see her no matter where she went. She couldn't escape even if she wanted to. She didn't just want to be a designer. She wanted to be a famous designer. She wanted to be in all kinds of news, all kinds of headlines. She wanted to be in all kinds of magazines that men and women read. Zhuang Yichen had always teased her. She wanted to be famous so badly that even a celebrity's woman was not as utilitarian as her. If she hadn't met Zhuang Yichen, she would have wanted to become famous. No matter what method she used, as long as she could drag Kang Yiyun out from some corner of the world. Because once he left, he took away her world. She didn't even have a world anymore. What soul, body, and reputation did she want? Therefore, after getting into Zhuang Yichen's bed, she became famous, and her reputation became more and more famous. Qiu Xiaoya was a signboard in the fashion industry, and many companies even invited her to join them and give her an annual salary. Because of Kang Yiyun, her life had become so bright and beautiful. She was the dream of countless girls in High City who wanted to start their own business. Some people helped her write her autobiography. Some invited her to do interviews. She had endless fashion weeks and endless cover shoots. She was a famous designer and also a celebrity designer. But no one knew that all of this was because of Kang Yiyun, and because of Zhuang Yichen. At that time, Zhuang Yichen had given her 5 million yuan to buy a car, but she bought a car that cost more than 200,000 yuan. After that, in a fit of anger, he didn't give her any more money. But now, she didn't even dare to count the money that he had spent on her. She was afraid that she would be scared silly. In fact, sometimes when she thought about it, she didn't know what she was worth. Maybe Zhuang Yichen was too rich, so he didn't care about spending money for her, and let her enjoy the glory of being the moon surrounded by stars. But she had never cared about the money. Whenever she thought about those things, she would feel empty. She earned a lot of money, but she didn't know how to spend it. She made clothes herself, and she had endless clothes to wear. She would make whatever style she liked. Those international brands always had something that she wasn't satisfied with, so she would make a style that she liked. She saved money again. But Zhuang Yichen was such a cold person, and yet he still praised her. It's not bad. It suits you. Hearing him say that, she felt even more that she couldn't spend the money. The car drove very slowly. When she reached the studio, the employees were already preparing to get off work. She swung the car keys in her hand and walked slowly upstairs in her high heels. The building was on the 4th floor, and the lower floor was the finished products exhibition area. It was decorated in a stylish style, and it was almost 700 square meters. It was divided into several areas, and the clothes were displayed according to their style. The 2nd floor was the guests' fitting area, and it was warm and comfortable. The 3rd floor was the employees' work area, and the designers were very busy. The 4th floor was her office area. It was empty and mainly white, mourning the former Qiu Xiaoya. Although the building wasn't in the city center, it was in the center of the wealthy district in the south. Zhuang Yichen was a rich man, and this building wasn't rented. He bought it, and the owner's name was Qiu Xiaoya. From now on, she would not work in the future, and she would rely on the rent of this building to live a leisurely and decadent life. She remembered that when she heard the news that day, she worked hard to serve Zhuang Yichen in bed for the whole night. She played with all the tricks, and he rode her body with satisfaction. His voice still echoed in her ears. Qiu Xiaoya, you're a demon. You're Qiu Xiaoya. Just as she reached the 4th floor, she pushed the door open and smelled a familiar cigarette smell. This guy. Designers liked a free space, and the office didn't have too many complicated displays. Everything was painted white, and even the floor was filled with white glue. The desk was simple and big, just like the office. She closed the door behind her. The man was sitting in her office, crossing his legs on the desk and swinging his feet. His leather shoes were shiny as new, and his body was lying on the chair lazily. He held a cigarette in one hand and a draft in the other. She didn't know if he really understood it, but he teased, "Yo, you know I'm here, and you still want to come in?" Xiaoya ran her fingers through her hair and changed into slippers that she only wore in a private space. Her feet touched the ground, and her body relaxed. It was so comfortable. It turned out that the glamour was for outsiders to see, and the comfort and warmth were for her to enjoy. This is my office. If you want to come in, you can come in. What can you do about it? Zhuang Yichen threw the draft in his hand, and 4 or 5 drafts scattered. Only 2 of them happened to land on the white desk, and the rest fell to the ground. He opened his mouth and smiled brightly. Isn't it time to get off work? Why didn't you run when you saw me? Or are you always ready with contraceptive pills, waiting for me to come? Jiang Zhao had been lying beside Yi the whole time, listening to her murmuring with her eyes closed. He was afraid that she would be tired, so he dripped some water into her mouth. He even wondered if she would be moved when she woke up and say, "Hubby, I missed you so much, I love you." He had been taking care of her all day and night without rest for a long time. He recalled that dream and sighed. Forget it. What love? He didn't believe that a marriage without love couldn't grow old together. They could help each other in times of need, and treat each other with respect. There were 2 soft knocks on the door. Jiang Zhao wasn't afraid of disturbing Yi, and even hoped that she could hear his voice. He shouted, "Who is it?" "Young Master Zhao, I'm here to bring food. Come in." The nanny came with 3 thermos containers, followed by a servant. The servant carried 2 thermos containers in each hand. There were 4 compartments in each thermos container. Apart from the porridge and rice, there were at least 12 dishes. The table was full of dishes. Jiang Zhao was speechless. Wasn't this too much? "Auntie Li, why are there so many dishes?" The old maid also poured out the soup and put it on the table. She felt that the small plates on the table weren't arranged well, and the positions of the meat and vegetables weren't right. She adjusted the plates as she spoke. She couldn't help but smile with a hint of rebuke. "How is there a lot? These days, I only sent 3 dishes for every meal. Today, there are 2 more dishes. Young Master Fian said that you have a good appetite today, so I made some dishes that you like. I estimated that I haven't finished making all the dishes that you like, so I'll make some more tomorrow. You have to eat more. You've lost weight recently." Jiang Zhao sighed. There was nothing he could do. Forget it. Who told him to be so talkative? He had to tell Fian that he wanted more dishes. Grandfather probably couldn't wait to move the table from home. The old maid looked at Jiang Zhao with some guilt. Although Jiang Zhao didn't reprimand her, the way he walked past her without saying a word made her feel worse than if he had reprimanded her. "Young Master Zhao, you eat first. I'll go feed young madam." "No need. I'll do it." Jiang Zhao felt that how could he let the old maid do such a joyous thing? Yi woke up and could eat. It was natural for him to enjoy this kind of satisfaction. He had been waiting for her to wake up. The Qin family's servants were very attentive. They brought several spoons, from small to large. The old maid let the other servant go back first. She would tidy up later and return to the Qin residence. Jiang Zhao chose a small one. The rice soup was very thick. He scooped up a spoonful and put it to his mouth. The rice porridge was very fragrant. He blew on it until it was warm before putting it to Yi-er's mouth. He tried to entice her to gently open her mouth. Just as her mouth opened a little, he held the spoon upright and the rice soup flowed into the woman's mouth. Every time he saw Yi-er's throat move, he could hear the sound of her swallowing. After such a long time, there was nothing more blissful than hearing this sound. Jiang Zhao enjoyed this kind of action. After Yi-er finished swallowing, he fed her another spoonful. Seeing how she swallowed so vigorously, he really wanted to turn the entire table of dishes into rice soup for her to drink. She must think that this rice soup is very delicious, right? Until Yi-er lazily opened her eyes and looked at Jiang Zhao. Her eyes were wet and the corners of her mouth twitched from time to time. It was as if she had been greatly wronged. The spoon in Jiang Zhao's hand paused just above Yi-er's lips. He looked at her and his eyes couldn't help but moisten. He held it in and forcefully swallowed his saliva. Then he fiercely blinked his eyes. After he blinked his eyes dry, it all flowed into his heart. Look at her small appearance. Look at her weak and listless eyes. Look at her trembling lips. Sigh, she must be feeling terrible. The corners of Yi-er's mouth twitched slightly at first. Then, She looked down and stared at the spoon above her mouth. As Jiang Zhao's hand was trembling, a few drops of rice soup dripped down and landed on her lips. She stuck out her tongue and licked it. When she licked it, the tears in her eyes turned into tears. Jiang Zhao saw Yi Er licking the rice soup and quickly regained his senses. He scooped another spoonful of rice soup and coaxed her gently. Yun Yi, don't be sad. Don't be sad. I forgot to continue feeding you. Come, drink more if you like. If you don't have enough, I will ask Auntie Li to get more. Yi Er panicked when she heard this. She drank some rice soup and regained her strength. Tears rolled down from the corners of her eyes. She sobbed. Jiang Zhao, you are a mayor. How can you let your wife drink some rice soup? How can you bear to let her drink some rice soup? I have waited for so long and did not even get a piece of meat. What did I do to you? Why are you treating me like this? Woo 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 woo, I want to eat meat. Attention, Song Shu 566. Chapter 582. Jiang Zhao was about to feed Yi Er the rice soup when he stopped. He burst into laughter, and the rice soup spilled onto Yi Er's face. Jiang Zhao laughed louder and louder, but Yi Er didn't care at all. She grabbed the blanket and rubbed her face, saying, I want to eat meat, I want to eat meat, I want to eat meat. If I don't eat meat, I won't have the strength to speak. Her voice became softer and softer. Jiang Zhao turned around and saw that his mother was still standing by the table by the window. She didn't dare to come over and just stood there, waiting for him to eat. When Jiang Zhao's mother saw Jiang Zhao turn around and smile at her, she felt relieved and smiled. She thought, young Master Zhao is finally not angry with me, right? At this moment, Jiang Zhao's anger had already been pushed to the side. He said to his mother, Auntie Li, you can go back first. You can come back tomorrow to pack up these things. Also, there's a nurse, so don't worry. How can I do that? You've been too tired recently. Let me stay here and take care of young madam. Auntie Li, you can go back. Jiang Zhao sighed. He was a little displeased. He didn't like to be interfered with. Caring was one thing, but right now, he wanted to be alone with Yi Er. Jiang Zhao's mother saw that Jiang Zhao was about to get angry again. She was afraid that he would get into trouble if she did something wrong, so she pushed the dishes on the table and continued to nag. Young Master Zhao, hurry up and eat. The dishes will get cold soon. Winter is not as good as summer. Although the room is air-conditioned. Jiang Zhao nodded. I know. After his mother left, Jiang Zhao hurried over and locked the door like a thief. He returned to the bedside and wanted to see if Yi Er could sit up. He put his arm around Yi Er's back and knees. His heart ached. His wife had lost weight. A few days ago, when he hugged her every day, it wasn't as obvious as it was now. Now that she could move, it was different. Yun Yi, let me help you sit up and eat, okay? Is there meat? Even though Yi Er was weak, she still didn't forget to ask the question she was concerned about when she was pulled up by Jiang Zhao's neck. After Jiang Zhao put Yi Er down, he put a pillow behind her back. He felt that it was not enough, so he put his own pillow behind her back. When he heard Yi Er relentlessly asking where the meat was, he put his index finger to his mouth and said, Shoo! Keep your voice down. The doctor said that you can't eat meat and can only drink rice soup. Rice soup? Rice soup again? Is this how a person should live? When Yi Er thought of the tasteless liquid that had flowed into her mouth with her eyes closed, she became irritated. At this moment, other than her eyes being a little dim and her spirit being a little weak, when she spoke, it was as if the nearly 20 days of being in a coma had never happened at all. Jiang Zhao couldn't help but feel delighted again. However, he couldn't resist her adorable manner of begging for food. Lower your voice. How about I make you some meat soup to drink? Just drink a little, okay? Hubby. Yi Er reached out her hand that was still covered with a band-aid and held Jiang Zhao's hand. She begged in a low voice. Hubby, I'll only eat a small piece of meat. After that, I won't be greedy anymore. If I'm greedy again, you can spank me. The word, hubby, made Jiang Zhao's heart go soft and sour. During this period of time, he had stayed here and heard her call him that many times in his dreams. She called him hubby in all kinds of tones, acting coquettishly to please him, complaining and pitiful, supporting and angry. When the word hubby appeared in his dreams, he felt that she had woken up. Thinking about it, a small piece should be fine, right? It was just a small piece. He made up his mind. A small piece. Okay, just a small piece. But you must drink more water after eating. I'm afraid you can't digest it. Yi Er looked at the room she was staying in and then looked at the clothes she was wearing. I know. Patients can't eat too much meat and greasy food. Her originally dim eyes suddenly lit up. She said greedily, "Is there any red braised pork? I'll just eat a piece of red braised pork." Zhang Zhao was stunned. Red braised pork? She actually said that she wanted to eat red braised pork? How could this be? She clearly said that she couldn't eat too much meat and greasy food. Wasn't red braised pork the most greasy food? There are lean meat, chicken, duck, and fish, but you can't eat red braised pork. Yi Er actually didn't like red braised pork that much in the past. It was just that she hadn't eaten for too long, and her body always craved for some oily meat. When she thought that she could only eat a little meat, she might as well eat a piece of red braised pork. Moreover, she clearly smelled the scent of red braised pork just now. It was the smell of red braised pork that was braised and stewed with dried vegetables. Thinking of the fat in the red braised pork, she bit it in her mouth. It was soft and sticky and melted in her mouth. I don't like to eat other meat. I just like red braised pork. Hubby. This call of hubby was simply fatal. Zhang Zhao was at his wit's end. One of his hands was caught by Yi Er's hands. Her hands were very cold and the back of her hands were bruised because of frequent transfusions. Her other hand pressed against her forehead and rubbed it again and again. She was very conflicted. The doctor said that she couldn't even drink the meat soup, but Yi Er directly jumped 2 levels. She didn't want the meat soup or lean meat. She wanted red braised pork. He was afraid that Yi Er would agree to the doctor's words as soon as she ate the meat. He was afraid of the consequences. But if he didn't let Yi Er eat, he couldn't bear to look at her pitiful face. It was as if she had just been released from prison. When the words red braised pork were mentioned, her eyes lit up. Every time she said it, she swallowed her saliva. Not only did she look like someone who had been released from prison, but she also looked like those children he saw when he went to the countryside in the mountainous areas. Their innocent eyes were also like this, shining when they improved their food. Then promise me that you have to eat a piece of meat in small bites. You can't swallow it all at once. Drink some rice soup first before you eat. Zhang Zhao picked up the bowl of rice soup and handed it to Yi Er. Without a word, Yi Er snatched the bowl and gulped it down. She raised her wrist and wiped her mouth with her sleeve. I finished it. Drink it with that spoon of yours. I don't know how long it will take before I can eat meat. Zhang Zhao was speechless. He was worried that she would choke if he fed her too quickly. In the end, she picked up the bowl and drank it in a few mouthfuls for the sake of eating meat. At this time, Zhang Zhao was like an old mother. He poured half a bowl of rice soup and picked up a piece of red braised pork from the table. He placed it in the bowl of rice soup and carried it to Yi Er to sit down. He used his chopsticks to split the soft red braised pork into 2 and stirred it twice. He then split it into 4 and stirred it a few more times. Yi Er was anxious. She stared at the red braised pork and asked, "Honey, what are you doing?" "Washing the oil. It's too oily. It's not good for you to eat it." Even if he ate meat, he still remembered 3 words. Avoid oily food, avoid oily food. Don't pick it up. If you pick it up again, it will turn into foam. How can I eat it? Yi Er hurriedly stopped Zhang Zhao. The meat was so small that it was not even enough to fill the gaps between her teeth. Zhang Zhao said seriously, "Pick it up and wash away the oil inside. It will be safer to eat it this way." Although he had promised to help his poor wife secretly, he had to wash away the oil in the meat as much as possible. He did not have to worry about the woman swallowing the meat whole like a wolf. Anyway, he looked at her eyes. She definitely had the potential to do so. Zhang Zhao buried his head in his actions and ignored the woman who had not eaten oily meat for 20 days. Her eyes were green and full of sorrow and pain. She looked at the bowl in his hand. She was unwilling and unbearable to watch the whole piece of meat turn into a bowl of minced pork soup. The small bowl could be described as pocket-sized. It was only half a bowl of rice soup and could be drunk in 1 gulp. Yi Er looked at Jiang Zhao, who did not let go of any piece of meat that was larger than a grain of rice. She was going crazy. She took a deep breath. Her hair was a little messy, but she could not see, so she did not pay much attention to it. When she leaned forward, she looked like a female bandit who had come down the mountain. She quickly lowered her head and bit the side of the bowl in Jiang Zhao's hand. Her originally weak hand suddenly flew to the side of the bowl and tilted it, pouring all the rice soup and minced meat into her mouth. Jiang Zhao was about to snatch the bowl when Yi Er's mouth bulged like a toad's. It was swollen and round. Jiang Zhao anxiously put down the bowl and scolded, "Yun Yi, spit it out." He had to make her spit it out. If this bowl of oil went down, it would be over for her. He reached out to pry open her mouth, but Yi Er stepped back in a panic and swallowed hard. Her eyes were forced to roll back as she swallowed it. It was useless for Jiang Zhao to regret or be angry at this time. He could only blame himself for being soft-hearted and causing such a big mistake. He even said that he would wash the oil off the meat for her, but she drank it all in one gulp without even chewing. He was so angry. Yi Er widened her eyes and shook her head. It was not bad. The meat soup was better than the rice soup, but she did not seem to have tasted the meat. She tried hard to recall the taste of the meat in her mouth, but she could not remember it no matter how hard she tried. She remembered now. She did not eat the meat at all. Meat had to be slowly ground with the teeth and chewed slowly to get the fragrance out. What was the difference between her eating meat like this and drinking a big mouthful of water and swallowing a few pills in her mouth? Jiang Zhao, give me another piece of meat. She was unhappy. She did not want to call him hubby anymore. This was Yun Yi in reality. Yun Yi, you have no shame. You ate the whole piece just now. Jiang Zhao felt that he could no longer speak nicely to Yi Er. When she was not awake, he missed her so much. When she woke up, she drugged him and called him hubby, hubby, so intimately that it melted his heart. He had already indulged her in cheating him of meat, but she still went overboard and did not keep her promise. Now it was even worse. She still wanted to eat it. If he spoke to her in a pleasant manner again, she would probably eat the whole plate of red braised meat. The corner of Yi Er's mouth twitched, and she said unhappily, "How is that food?" It was clearly drinking. I did not enjoy the process of eating meat at all. That doesn't count. Give me another piece. You don't have to wash it anymore. You can wash it if you want, but don't split it apart. Just wash the whole piece, okay? Let me chew it. I think my teeth need some exercise. I need some exercise. Pick a big one for me. Yun Yi. Jiang Zhao knew that this wife of his had the ability to anger him to death. Even if they had not spoken properly for more than 20 days, she could already make him so angry that smoke was coming out of his 7 orifices in less than 20 minutes. Not only did she want a whole piece, she wanted a big piece. Yun Yi, you can only give me rice soup now. If you dare to mention meat again, I will never give you meat in this lifetime. If you don't give me meat, I won't sleep with you. Yi Er was not full or hungry, but she was craving for meat. She felt that only meat could solve her problem. What did you say? Jiang Zhao had just been fierce, so when he heard this, he could not help but laugh. You won't sleep with me? She smacked her lips. Haha, do you think that's up to you? Don't I still have to sleep with you however I want to? Even if you want to sleep with me now, I can't be bothered to do it with you. Forget it. She only mentioned it slightly, and he already wanted to sleep with her so badly. But with this body, he still had to take care of it. Come and see. Xinwu 799. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.